Let's crack open a beer and share some thoughts.
Welcome to Hopinions, and once again we are on location.
We are. Where are we, Steve?
We are at Beer Merchants Tap Room, Hackney Wick in London, and the reason we're here is because we're not alone. We are joined by Andrew and Luke from the Rhythm Brews podcast. Chaps, welcome to Opinions again. This is your
hello. I know. Thanks for having us back.
Appearance.
Second time, yeah.
I know. We feel honoured and flattered.
We're looking forward to becoming the top guests.
Yeah, like your number one fan, your number one guest.
Number one podcast guests on
a beer podcast.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on the show with us. What we're going to be doing is kind of going, dipping in and out of a show that you guys did right at the beginning of the year. So in January you did a show looking at what you thought were going to be the trends of 2019, and we're going to quiz you on those throughout the night to see how well you've done.
How dare you?
In terms of that,
we have infinite wisdom. Nobody's allowed to question us.
Well, let's see as the evening goes on. So with that in mind, we do have first beer in glass, and what we're drinking here is one of the styles that Andrew, I think it was it was Luke recommended, and this was low and or no alcohol beers.
Yep.
So we are on Striding Edge by Northern Monk, which comes in. It's a 3%. I think they call it a light IPA.
A light, yeah. I think it's a small beer, right?
Small beer, table
beer, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, guys.
Cheers.
We'll chain Steve to the desk.
Let's see if you can make it to the last beer this time.
I think just for those that don't get that reference, that the last time the four of us recorded together, we were guests on your podcast, and I may have gone AWOL the evening.
It's okay, we found you 5 days later. It's
after having been on it since about 2 o'clock.
You were
on it.
Yeah.
Everyone should listen to that.
So no, I do hope to stay here for the course of this evening's show. Initial thoughts on the Striding Edge. I know that for me this is, I think, my second pint since I've been here.
Have you had it before?
I've had it previously in a can when it was Patrons.
Ricky Lightfoot sponsored or whatever. Yeah.
But now it's become it's core beer now within their range.
Oh really?
Yeah, they've
I
moved
don't know.
into core beer.
I don't know. It's gone core. I actually think it's really good.
Did you know there was a wrap-off label on the original can?
Of course I didn't. I'm the one who never peeled it off.
What?
We've established that. You're gonna put that into every show now.
I am now. Yeah. That's going to take the place of the cast Jaipur from the tap room.
It's really, it's
thoughts on this?
low bags of aroma, lovely flavour, and the mouthfeel doesn't feel like a low light beer.
Not at all. I mean, that's the usual distinguishing feature, isn't it, with a low alcohol beer? It just tastes so thin in the mouth. It's watery, and it doesn't have any of that.
This has gorgeous citrusy kind of flavour.
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I think so.
It's also still a bit dry as well.
Yeah.
But it is.
I mean, as we record, it's quite humid tonight as well,
Yeah.
and I think it's actually perfect for a night like this. You could literally drink this all night long and probably not begin to feel the effects of it until much later.
It's great, yeah. When it's this humid, it's actually the beer is thinner than the air, which is really good. It's nice. No, I think it's perfect. It's like this is exactly what, and this is the kind of style that I was like talking about, where it's like the small beer, the table beer, like low ABV. I think it's a trend. There's that new pub that's opening up in South London. That's pure. I mean, I didn't.
You guys sent us a link for that. It's called.
It's named after an elbow.
Fugitive Motel.
Yeah,
that's the one. And so it's they only serve low ABV and no alcohol beers there.
What's their sort of starting low ABV?
I think it's a 1.5%. So it's like pretty low. And I mean, total fucking trend. Like they're not going to last more than a year. But hey, it just shows
that's all they serve. Is it?
That's all they serve.
Just that.
Yeah. So I think they also serve like the low alcohol spirits as well, like Sea Lip and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, that is properly niche.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you're going to do it in London, right?
Well,
I'm just surprised it's not out in East London. It's,
I think as an option, you come in, because we're in beer merchants, we can easily find a beer which is around about 11%. That's actually quite easy.
That's not even hard work.
That's not hard work.
It's a standard, yeah.
That's really easy, but to actually find a good quality 3% beer, whether you're going to have it all night or just for starting off, I mean, it's really good to have something as good as this.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's nice to get something that's a bit more sort of table beer that isn't just Colonel's table beer, which is great, but it's like actually having a bit of variety is quite nice.
And actually, it's actually not that easy to get hold of a lot of the time, Colonel table beer.
Yeah.
But I mean, the benefit of having a beer like this on a bar is not necessarily that 3-4 guys want to sit together and drink it all together, but someone might.
Yeah.
And you stay together for the rest of the night because someone wants to be on a low alcohol option, as opposed to let's not go to the pub at all.
Yeah.
And
or
all
caning it or something.
Yeah.
Also, this is the perfect beer to do food pairing with. Anyway, so that's a 1 to me, I think, for winning.
Yeah, but that wasn't
so
a
far.
massive prediction, I have to say.
Shut
I mean, low and no alcohol. I mean, it was
Shut
already
up.
probably coming through late last year.
I think
Okay.
I think it was beginning to,
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was.
And it's well, we've done 2 alcohol-free shows now, haven't
Yeah,
we?
both of them are probably a bit out of date now as well.
Well, yeah,
Because of some of the
'cause-
beers that have come out.
What was the second one we did last summer? And we did the new Thornbridge beer, the Big Easy,
Yeah.
That came out, and the new Ghost Ship 0.5 that was out last summer as well. But I think even since then, in the last 6 months, we've seen again certainly the low and the no alcohol end seems to have moved on again.
It has,
With obviously Brewdog getting involved now with Punk AF.
And their raspberry bliss
Raspberry
as well.
Bliss.
Yeah, both now available in supermarkets,
Yep.
so
Yep.
readily available. And then you've got the guys from Big Drop who are producing.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple of their beers and I've been really impressed with them.
The
actually,
stout
in terms of
is
the
really
flavour.
good. The stout is amazing.
Yeah.
Surprising what they can get out of no alcohol. Like it's
absolutely.
Well, no.
I actually just pour a little bit of vodka into mine just to give it a bit more body, but apart from that, it's really good.
Does that not go against the idea of having a no alcohol beer?
Oh shit! Yeah, I suppose.
Kind of adding the alcohol to it.
suppose
Yeah,
it
thought
does.
about that.
Oh.
Now, what I'd like to be able to have them on tap as well, rather than having to just look in the fridge. That's what I'm enjoying now. Is that the tap range is now starting to come out.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that's important because I think a lot of people also do feel the pressure of being with friends to be seen to at least be drinking something equivalent to what everyone else is.
Yeah.
There is a massive element, I think.
And this
for
is an equivalent.
perception. Yeah.
This is an equivalent.
Yeah.
It look, it's a little bit of a haze on it. It's got, like I said, the nice mouthfeel. So I don't know if they've used a bit of like oats in the build, maybe similar to what Cloudwater do with their small beers.
Yeah.
And that works really well for their ones as well.
I think it's Northern Monkey pretty much guaranteed they've used oats in it.
Oh yeah, that's true. But again, as I said before,
Because all of their beers look like this.
but
And
still,
the
for
thick
the low
beers.
ABV beers, that's what.
Oh
really
no,
helps the body.
it's doing like you say, you have said that a few times about Cloudwater beers, that Cloudwaters, and I've not seen them for a while, but their small range that they did were incredible beers for the amount of flavour and taste that they were getting in those,
And that's where
and the body.
That's where that hop haze and the oats being part of the build worked for me.
Yeah, it was. I had one recently. I can't for the life of me remember which one it was, but it was a 2.8%, and they used lactose in it, and it was that. Like again, it was just putting something in there to just build out that body a little bit, because that is my problem with a lot of the low ABV. Is just they're just way too thin. It's like the Big Drop. I liked it, but it was
Yeah, there was some good
not
roasty
as
flavours in this
luxurious
now.
as
Well,
you
they
want to
use
say.
lactose in their beers
They do.
to give them body.
Yeah.
So you know, yes, they're low alcohol, but they're not particularly vegan friendly.
People are trying. I think that's the thing. We've come a long way.
Trying
in a short
different
space
ways
time.
of getting a bit of body.
Yeah,
into
because I
it,
think, like Luke's just said, that is probably the single biggest
It is.
factor that puts me off having them myself.
Otherwise, they're just hoppy water at best, and it's not.
Or just bitter water.
Yeah. Honey steak.
See, I'm not a fan of that either, but you love it. You love it, don't you?
Oh, it's just hoppy piss.
That's harsh. I would say it's bitter.
Sorry, yeah.
Come on.
And this podcast brought to you by Brewdog. No, yeah, it's actually one of the things that I've been seeing a bit more, and I don't know if it's just because we're coming into summer as well, is that a couple of real ale pubs I've been going to. I've been seeing a lot of 2.8 and 3% real ales as well, which is nice.
Oh, okay.
And it'd be interesting to see if that starts following as well, like the sort of smaller real ales. Still tastes like piss because it's real ale, but you know. It's,
But I would say Redemption Trinity, which has always been around for a long time at 3%,
Right.
is always a pretty good option.
yeah, that's actually a decent beer.
Yeah, and especially Pelt Trader have it on quite frequently as well.
Okay.
I think that's always worth
Quite,
a try.
quite light for a lunchtime option.
Yeah,
But it's what pubs have to do, I think, to survive. They've got to broaden the options, get more people in. The people that don't want heavy sessions, or for whatever reason aren't drinking at all.
That's what Huis is for.
That's alcoholic. Again, that's alcoholic.
You're not really getting this low and no alcohol, are you?
for somebody who's claiming they're getting this one right.
Yeah. We're going to dip in and out of your predictions throughout the show.
Yep.
But I think, as much as it kills me to say it, that is a point to Luke on the on the low and no alcohol. Because
Hey, it's my first point. It's good.
I think in terms of a prediction, it was a pretty good one in terms of what we've seen since the start of the year.
Low hanging fruit.
It was an easy one. Yeah,
It probably was an easy one. Yeah. So we'll finish off the striding edge and we'll come back into that. While we do that, let's have a chat about the weekend, mate, which is the only beery adventure that we're going to feature this week. And over to you, because it was kind of your weekend.
We had a few days in Liverpool, my stag weekend.
I'm going down to Liverpool.
There was 10 of us. Bulk of it was Friday, Saturday, back on the Sunday. I went up on the Thursday, went over to Manchester in the evening with a couple of mates, went to Marble Arch, Marble St Thomas Street, and a bar before that which had Jaipur and cask.
Jeez, I think they just actually hear you coming and they're like, quick, roll it out.
It's not even Jaipur, just put it back on the budget. He'll buy it, whatever it is.
Build it and he will come. But yeah, the bulk of it was in Liverpool. Went to some really nice bars. We started off in the Roscoe Head.
That's a good pub.
Yeah, which is a lot of people will have heard of this pub before, but it's been in the Camera Good Beer Guide since edition number 1.
Yeah.
And I think it's been in it every year
Yeah.
since as well. I mean, their cask range is very simple.
Yeah.
Tetley's on cask, Landlord on cask.
They do pies, I think.
Yeah, I had pie as well. I've got a little oven on the bar.
I have to admit, it didn't take me long to start looking at the macro taps.
Whereas I sank a few pints of Tetley's cask because I haven't had Tetley's on cask for probably about 30 odd years. And then obviously I switched to Landlord, which everyone knows I'm quite a fan of. And then I had a pie. So I quite like the fact of having pies.
Yeah, and you actually did eat all of the pies.
Yeah.
No, me, Neil and Carl took the last 3
finished
pies.
the pies. So there were no pies for anyone else.
So that was a nice start today. And because they've got these, I think you've been there, haven't you?
Yeah.
They've got it's really old fashioned but beautifully kept, these 4 separate rooms.
Yeah.
And so because there was 10 of us, effectively the back room we ended up having.
Oh, wow, okay.
We didn't have to put a sign up, just that everyone saw who we were and went the other way.
It's one of these pubs you're like, oh, you've got a little cubby hole, a little room here.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got a fire in there. All right.
Yeah.
But everyone's in there. No, let's try the next one
Yeah.
down. It's fantastic. I think I've had to stand outside every time. It's just been mobbed every time I've been there.
For a moment, when we pulled up in the cab outside, I was like, is this the right place? Because I looked at it, I was like, really? And then walked in, obviously.
Well, they
saw
are developing the area, aren't they? Because
Yeah,
there is a thing up, save the pub.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a crying shame if that whole pub and that interior. I mean, and the landlady. I don't know if you were there when the landlady was there, but she can definitely hold her own. There's no one going to mess with her.
I mean, is this like Pride of Spitalfield style,
Yes.
like
but
soggy carpet?
But about a quarter the size of that.
Yeah.
Wow,
it
this
just
sounds
feels-
great.
Yeah, it is that. It is a similar sort of vein, I would say.
Yeah.
Kind of place where you walk in, smells like piss, but you know you're going to get good beer.
actually.
No, it didn't smell like this.
A lot more airy than the Pride of Spitalfields, I would say. But similar, it's definitely a similar sort of
But
vein.
very what you'd consider to be a traditional pub.
Yeah, if someone was
Great.
not really seen a traditional pub and had to conjure up a picture, the Roscoe Head wouldn't be far off it.
Yeah.
And then we went to just a couple of other places afterwards, and then Saturday was the big one. Steve, very, I would say thank you because you helped us do the itinerary, and
You're welcome.
then I script edited it. I probably annoyed the hell out of him by doing that.
And
Can we do this? Can we not do that?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was just sort of literally the day before, as you were travelling up on the train. I think you were saying, "Oh, I'm not too sure about this, and this," and then I was like, "Okay."
It makes me sound like I've changed half of it there.
That's not what a stag's supposed to do. Jeez.
Well, it's a bit vague.
It was a bit different. But we just moved things around a little bit to make it a bit more easy, didn't we?
Yeah, so the Roscoe Head was going to originally be on the Saturday evening, and I thought it's going to be quite busy.
Yeah.
But then I thought, actually, that would be quite a really good meeting place for everyone on the Fridays. We'd turning up at different times.
It's a really good shout, actually.
To turn up at the same place.
Yeah.
We did have a bit of spoons action factored in on the Saturday because we knew you'd be able to have food. If there was any non-beer drinkers, you'd satisfy them for a little while.
Yep.
But we edged both of them out, didn't we?
Yeah, we never ended up in Innsmouth.
Which worked out well.
Yeah.
So, Ship and Mitre, lovely pub, been there before. I think, again, you've been there, Andrew. Really good. Fantastic beer choice. Breakfast was really good. Even gave us extra sausages as well.
Yeah.
So I did my best to eat all of the extra sausages.
Yeah, but
I hasten to add.
again, bringing it back to the partly the theme of the show, we all started on I think a 3% beer, didn't we? As well. They had some low ABV cask beers.
Yeah, I think I
on
had
which
them
were,
and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
So I was just
absolutely
having that on
perfect.
Sunday. It's lovely.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Really nice, easy
As
start.
a start for the day.
Yeah,
That's
very
what you
sensible.
wanted. Yeah.
Moved on to the Dead Crafty.
Yeah.
Dead Crafty Beer Club.
Dead Crafty Beer
Company.
Company,
yeah.
which is about 50 yards away from the Ship and Mitre, so I didn't get many steps out in the counter on that one. And that was wonderful in there, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, really warm welcome from Gareth,
Yeah.
the owner, who just not only we were almost the only people in there.
For the first hour, we were the only people, bar one other person.
Yeah. And we'll come on to that one
Yep.
other person. But Gareth actually took time to, and I really like the way he did it. He kind of very quickly worked out who the beery people were in the group, and then ignored us and went and spoke to the non-beery people.
Good strategy.
To
Yeah.
talk to them. And
He spent a good half hour chatting to my mate Neil.
straight away that hooked all of your mates in that weren't really beery mates.
Yeah.
And they were quite happy to stay there and then drink the beer.
So we talked to you for a while then, Steve, right?
yeah, because I know nothing. But yeah, that was really nice. And again, a fantastic space, really light and airy. Loads of places to sit and just chill out. And I really love the way they've done the bar up with kind of the you'll know what they're called, the things that you get at gigs, what you trolley your equipment around in.
Yes.
Those boxes.
Yeah, those
Flight cases.
Yeah.
That's how the
what
bar's
it's called.
done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
All the
it does-
taps are
it's
through
really
them
effective.
and everything.
Really
It's
effective.
so good.
But yeah, he was really friendly. The other guy behind the bar, Tom, was really friendly as well. But yeah, Gareth definitely made a point of spending a bit more time with the non-beery, the ones who may need a bit of steering, but really did spend a lot of time. And I think people didn't really start coming in until about 1:30. We've been in there an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We went through quite a few beers by then.
We were going through them at a rate as well, I have to admit. But if we come back to the guy that was sitting at the bar, when we walked in, we started chatting to Gareth, and all of a sudden this fellow at the bar turns around and goes, I recognise those voices. Looking over our shoulder. Oh, us. So massive shout out to a listener of the show, Rob, who was formerly on Twitter at Rob's Beer Odyssey, but
He's having a break.
I think he's currently having a Twitter break.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, so he was chatting with us.
Yeah, he actually recommended a couple of places to take
He
out.
changed our itinerary.
He changed
for
our
us.
itinerary as well.
Yeah.
It's very good, but it was good advice though.
Yeah, very, very good advice. And then he was quite generous.
Yes.
As well, wasn't he? Because he bought a bottle from the fridge to share, not just with us, but with our entire group.
Yeah.
And you've got it up there.
Yeah, so it's the Top Rope Brewing versus Fierce Beer, barrel aged Coco Colada, Pina Colada Imperial Porter aged in rum barrels.
Of course it is.
Surprisingly, coming in at, I say, only 8.7%.
Wow.
Because I would have expected with the description if it's coming a bit bigger.
Now,
So
The-
top rope, the wrestling guys, aren't they?
They
The
are.
wrestling Brews.
Yeah. We just couldn't get there. So wanted to.
And so this was the last bottle that Gareth had in his fridge. But if you look at the label, guys, I think you'll see it says bottle number 1
oh wow!
on the label.
Yeah. It was
Jeez.
first bottle, and I think he said there's one more bottle of it at the brewery. Apart from that, it was the last bottle
Yeah.
in existence.
So have you drunk it? You shared it
Well,
already?
yeah,
we
it became an impromptu bottle share.
Yeah.
And what? 2.75 on tap or?
I think everyone, it sort of did do everything you thought it might do, didn't it?
I'm not actually sure I've checked it in.
What?
Oh, come on!
What?
Doesn't exist then.
What an amateur!
What's the matter with you?
He's getting his phone out now just in case.
Yeah, are you checking? to see if I've. Oh no, I think I have actually now.
Yeah.
Now you've pulled it up, I recognise
Yeah.
the.
But
four.
that's a nice gesture.
It was very nice, and
It was a
we're
lovely-
massively grateful to him.
Lovely
for that.
unexpected gesture, lovely bloke, and like I said the recommendations he gave us, and he even did a second-hand recommendation during the day.
He did, yes, yeah. So halfway through the day after we moved on from Dead Crafty, suddenly got a random DM out of nowhere on Twitter from the manager at the new Bundobust in Liverpool,
Right,
saying,
okay.
"Hey guys, Rob said you're in town. Why don't you pop down and see us?" And we were like, "All right then. So let's have a look at this itinerary one more time."
And so I thought about Bundobust because I quite like the idea of the food that they do,
Yeah.
but Steve is not so enamoured with Indian food anyway. And the other ones, like in especially the one in Leeds, is actually quite a small space, isn't it?
The Lee's one is tiny.
Whereas
yeah.
the one in Liverpool, it feels like it's in like used to be part of an old shopping centre, one of these old shopping centres.
feels like what would have been either a canteen or a snooker hall.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
but it's nice. It's
yeah.
big. It's quite cavernous
It's
actually.
reasonably new because I don't
Yeah.
remember that being.
I think it's literally been open a matter of weeks.
But it's on the strip where places like Ugly Coyote and really busy. So 5 o'clock,
Jeez.
the music was banging, everything, and then you go up these steps, you go to Bundobust. It's like, oh,
It was like being on a Mediterranean strip. It was.
Oh, yeah.
The music was so loud, the screaming and the howling was so loud coming from the bars, and it was almost welcome to get away from that
Yeah.
and into the. I think they even had the incense sticks burning. It was lovely. It was like walking into this Zen experience.
But another reason why we said yes is because they just purposely trolled Steve and said we have West Coast IPA on.
And that was enough time. Is it? We're like, we're in. We'll be there in 5 minutes. We're just going to finish this beer.
It wasn't the biggest sales pitch ever.
Yeah.
We followed it up with Brewdog.
Yeah.
Spent a couple of hours in there. That was nice. And last stop was the Grapes.
It was, which I've got to say, I love being in Dead Crafty, but I also loved the experience in the Grapes. It was almost the stop of the day for me. I just loved finishing up in there.
I think it was the
liked
stop of the day.
vibe,
I think it was at the right time as well.
Yeah.
I think Dead Crafty wouldn't have worked late on, and I'm not sure that the Grapes would have worked as early on.
No.
Well, the
Just
Grapes
ton
is
of-
a definite pub, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's
Got a good
pub.
range of beers.
We was
Big
going
range
to
of
hear
beers,
that
yeah.
the jazz was on the Sunday night because we were hoping for some late night Saturday jazz. Don't know what we was going to.
What?
Just thought it would
You
have worked quite well.
You really strike me as the late night Saturday jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm sure you could recommend some music that would
it was nice in there. Like I said, great range of beers and
It is.
excellent range of gins as well.
Yeah, I had an Imperial Stout,
10%
10%
on cask.
on cask, sparkled obviously, so
Yeah.
clearly tasting better than it would have tasted down
And that's
there.
where, most
100%.
people would stop at the end of the night.
Oh,
Imperial
yeah.
Stout,
Yeah.
I decided no, but I did decide that I was really thirsty after that, and I worked out that none of the beer was going to do it for
No,
me.
not
anymore.
after that.
So I switched to gin, and
Course,
I found
course.
a Cascade gin from a local gin distillery, and it was a Cascade hop gin.
It was a really nice actually.
And I had 4 of those.
Four?
Yeah.
Really? I only had 2. It was my stag. You had twice as many.
Which is why you left before me.
Yes, that is why I left before you. Because I needed a third visit on the trot to McDonald's.
What was your nugget count for the weekend, just by the way?
Oh, hi.
I got to 35.
I know, I got to 40 after Thursday nights, but I decided to go a bit more posh and had the chicken select. I didn't enjoy them as much.
No, they're not as,
Late at night,
they're not as
nuggets.
smashable as the
Isn't
nuggets.
that when they just put nuggets on a roll?
No, it's when they just give you more breaded coating. Don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. So overall, thoughts on Liverpool?
I loved it. I went there earlier in the year with Michelle, and we'd gone to a few of the places we went to, and I thought it was lovely. It's got a lovely vibe about it, and they've obviously done a lot of, since it became the city of culture back in 08. There's obviously been a lot of regeneration around there, and that's still going on. Some of the buildings are lovely. I would definitely go back and do another pub crawl, quite happily.
I would, but I'd maybe give it a year or so, because I think in terms of their craft offering, I think it's still developing. I think there are a few places right now, but the few places that there are a little bit spread out across the town. And I think it feels like it just needs maybe 1 or 2 more to open, or unless we didn't just find the plethora of craft offerings.
I don't think there is a plethora. There are places, little pockets, like you say, but that's not to say there isn't a good range of places to drink.
Yeah,
If
see,
you-
I'm-
if you-
I'm-
So yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't
Yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah.
the balance that we had
Yeah.
was fantastic
Yeah.
between traditional and kind
Yeah.
of new and out there as well. Because
I
Fundo
could-
Busters, you can't really
Yeah.
pigeonhole that.
Yeah, I could easily spend a lot of time somewhere like the Ship and Mitre.
That's a good pub.
I think it's also like you've got, even though most people in Liverpool don't want to admit it, I mean, Manchester is pretty much just down the road as well, and the amount of good craft beer in Manchester.
Yeah, it's a 30 minutes.
It must
by
be
train.
hard, yeah, it must be hard to kind of compete a little bit. Although you were saying that, you start in Liverpool, nobody leaves Liverpool, right?
Yeah, I think there is. There's definitely a lot of Liverpudlians still in Liverpool and very proud to be there.
Yeah, very good.
But yeah, but what I did find, just as an anecdote to finish off with, there's quite a few people I spoke to who weren't local, who had moved there and hadn't left, and were really proud of the fact that they'd fallen in love with the city and they'd taken it on to themselves as well.
I mean, I do think it's a city with
Yeah.
a lot of civic pride.
Yeah,
I mean, you can see it.
yeah, you can definitely see it, and you can feel it, I think, as well. So yeah, all in all, great weekend. Thank you for what you did for the Saturday, Steve, as well, because you did check a few places out before we went
Oh
there.
yeah, you're welcome.
So thank you very much.
Oh.
Well done, round of applause.
And with that, we've all finished the striding edge.
Well, our guests have finished it because we've been rabbiting on for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually had another half whilst you guys were
We should get them chatting again, really. So what's let's have a look at what the next style was
Where do you want to go next?
that you guys recommended.
I think it was Andrew's fixation, is that a word, with brown.
That sounds sinister.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds
sounds a
slightly
bit
wrong.
rude.
He loves a bit of Rick's Brown, loves a bit of James Brown.
Yeah, I never thought about it. We had Rick's Brown when
We had Rick's Brown on
Well,
the
Rick's
last
Brown on the
one.
popcorn, don't we?
yeah.
Do you remember that, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was just going to say, I think it's a testament to how much I listened to you guys' podcast. As soon as he opened his mouth, I knew where that sentence was going.
I mean, to be fair, it was the first beer, but anyway. I think it was brown ale was your big pick. Which, I mean, to be honest,
Big pick, it was a guess.
I've seen more brown this year than I have any other year.
That's your life. No idea what to do with that
Just
sentence.
trying
No,
to. Yeah.
you're right.
But on that,
I wouldn't say you were wrong. I thought at the main four trends you guys predicted, yes, Luke with the small beers, low alcohol, yeah, it was starting to come in, but it's definitely still increased. And I think the quality is increasing as well as the quantity.
Yeah.
The brown ales, I would still say I would say that's on the up.
I think it's one that out of the four, take aside maybe the small and low alcohol. Out of the other ones, it's certainly the one that I've seen the most of on Twitter of breweries that have gone with a brown ale this year. I mean, Verdant have released one, and you know something's on trend when Verdant are releasing it.
Well, I don't know. Do you wonder most breweries get to a point in their brewing cycle journey where they just go, "What haven't we done yet?
Yeah.
Let's
and
do
most
it.
people
Let's do
haven't
it. Let's
touched
do
it.
it." Yeah. Most
Yeah.
breweries are probably going to touch on most styles at some
Well,
point.
new breweries tend not to feature a brown ale in their
No.
starting point, do they? I mean, the first 4 or 5 beers probably aren't going to be a brown ale.
No, not if
Well,
they
we had a cracking one when we was in Manchester. The Elusive takeover.
Yes.
Beatniks Republic.
Yeah.
So Elusive had done a collab with Beatniks, an Imperial Brown Ale, and that was cracking,
That was
wasn't
good.
it? That was
I'm
absolutely
a big
bang
fan
on.
of like American-inspired brown ales rather than what might be classed as the
I like
traditional
the hoppy
English.
brown.
Well, that's,
brown
that's
ale.
my understanding.
Same.
American browns are more hop forward.
Yeah.
You can pick up the hop characteristics rather.
And I think those are the ones which are working better because I still find a very traditional brown ale just Twiggy and Hedgerow, to be honest.
It's interesting. So, would you call Nuki Brown a traditional brown ale? Because
Not anymore.
Not
yeah,
anymore.
because apparently what I've read is that it's Nuki Brown that has inspired a lot of the American browns.
Really?
Which is weird, but
But that doesn't surprise me because of their fascination with English
Yeah.
styles
Yeah.
such as
Yeah.
ESB
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
London Pride and that sort of
But
thing.
apparently the biggest market for Newcastle Brown is currently the States, and especially in places like Portland, where you think about the amount of breweries in Portland that are then trying to, ape this and take it to new places. It kind of makes sense that they're doing a bit of a...
I think it's a shame. I've probably never ever tasted Nuki brown ale as it once was.
Well, I'm not sure you ever will.
No.
I don't think I've ever had Nuki Brown when I've been sober. Like,
Oh, that's also another good point.
yeah, it's like it's always about 5 or 6 pints in.
It's
That,
like I've had whatever you've got on the tap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I don't
Always
want
on the bottom
that.
shelf of the fridge.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But,
But yeah, I think there's been a few from.
But also, I think that part of it is that we did the beer trends episode back in January when it was cold, brown ale,
Yes,
quite a
okay,
cold
yeah,
kind of
works.
weather beer. And so I think that we did see a lot in the last year, beginning of now. I'd be interested to see if they keep up during the summer.
Of course they
I'd
will.
really
I'm
like
sure
to see
there
a
was a
small
Cloudwater
brown.
one back a while back as well.
There
I'm sure
was,
they did a
yeah,
brown
and they did it on
Yeah.
cask, and it was
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of
It was
those
excellent.
four
It
they
was,
released
yeah,
in one
yeah.
hit?
excellent. I really enjoyed that.
Should we crack open one of the browns whilst we're talking about it?
Yeah, so Andrew, you've kindly brought along
Couple.
a couple. And you gave us a choice, and we went for the one with the most psychedelic can.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the picture of James Brown on the front.
Yeah, so
'Cause
it's-
that's what you do when you do a brown ale. You put
Down-
a picture of James Brown.
So you'd pair this with a James Brown song, presumably, Andrew?
Actually, our very
course he
first
would,
episode, the very first episode was
He did James Brown
Brown
ale,
ale.
and but he gave it to me, so it wasn't paired with James Brown, which I was very proud of. But yeah, this is Downtown Bourbon Brown by Griffin. Where'd you get this
who
from?
I've never heard of before. I can't remember. I can't remember where I got it from.
It's a very striking can.
It is. It is.
pretty amazing.
We'll put a picture up of it with the show notes, I imagine. It'll
I
be
mean,
in
this is,
there.
I don't know how much we can.
Yeah, it's a 440. So
It's,
Yeah,
it's a big American can, isn't it?
it is a
Slightly-
big
slightly
American
bigger
can,
than-
and it is
Yeah,
Oh,
a.
it's slightly bigger.
Yeah.
What is this? It's a.
You're reading it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the ABV. What's the ABV?
It's always harder on the American cans.
Jeez.
Sometimes,
impossible,
sometimes
isn't
I'm
it?
convinced it's
they
not
don't
there.
have to put the ABV on American.
Oh, here we go. It's a
packaging, do they?
6.5, but it's so it's from Birmingham, Michigan. Apparently,
okay.
yeah. So this is an American brown.
ale.
Where's your glass gone? Oh, there it is.
There it is. Thank you.
He's about to end up with none of his own beer there.
Two beers in, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
So in theory, this is going to be an American style brown. ale.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. It's quite a
You getting any hops on
Get,
there?
get coffee straight away.
Get bourbon
coffee.
as well.
Yeah, coffee and
Yeah.
bourbon.
So it's what are the adjuncts?
Oh, is it bourbon
Espresso.
aged
barrel aged. Yeah.
at 6.5%?
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Wow. Definitely getting the bourbon coming through.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, you do.
That
yes.
feels like
You do.
it was in a fresh bourbon barrel.
Yep. That's. I think that actually just has bourbon in it. It's.
Yeah.
You get a sense that just drops a shot in.
I like.
It's what in each
I
can.
like the coffee is
Just before they
basically.
sealed it.
Yeah, it was a 3% low beer.
Yeah.
So basically, this ticks both boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
I've
a depth
had
charge.
10% beers that haven't tasted quite as boozy
No.
as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually quite dry at the end. Actually, I would actually.
Really
so
dry.
if I was having that as a blind, I'd be going way above that 6.8%.
You would, wouldn't you?
I'll be calling that much higher.
Yeah, definitely a 9 or 10
Because
at
I'm
least.
programmed and hardwired to think bourbon barrel aged. It's got to be around that 10.
Yeah.
But I can't
10%.
help
It's got
thinking.
that boozy aftertaste as
Yeah.
well. It's
But
got
then
the...
that just masks. Would you know it as a brown ale? You wouldn't.
No, I mean that
You
does not
could-
taste.
because
That
you've
could be a
got
porter. That
bourbon,
could be
you've
a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd call stout or porter on it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever
I'd
call
be very
It
brown
tastes like
ale on
a
that.
bourbon barrel aged lager. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be very hard placed to say, especially blind tasting, to go brown.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I said that's got to be either they have just literally dropped in some bourbon or that has only been used once and it's still wet inside with
Yeah,
bourbon
yeah.
on it.
I mean, I'm getting loads of bourbon, but I'm getting a lot more of the coffee coming through.
So the coffee comes through at the after, right? It's like
Yeah.
you get the bitterness of the coffee in there.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm getting the dryness
Yeah.
from. Is the
Yeah.
coffee about up front. It's that
But
vanilla.
yeah, not much of that brown.
No, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you know, you mess with styles. That's what it's all about, a bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it would mess with my head. Like I said, blind tasting, I'd be wrong on fairly much all counts.
Yeah.
Apart from saying, oh, it's definitely been in a bourbon barrel. Other than that,
It's worryingly drinkable though. That's the thing. I mean, you could smash your way through that quite easily.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got it quite cold here.
we've got it quite cold.
Yeah.
It probably what it's
I
probably
imagine
lacking for that is it hasn't got that same thickness of viscosity, has it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I actually quite like that quite cold as well. I think it is something that just slides down really
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah.
I think
It's
we've
like
all-
an ice cream.
Yeah, we've
poured over some ice cream. This would be fucking gorgeous.
There you go.
While we're drinking this, let's get through some news because there are a few bits this week. So first of all, some good news from a crowdfunding story. 'Cause we've had a few episodes where the crowdfunding's all been quite bad,
Yes.
hasn't it? It's all gone a bit wrong for a few people. But so this is a left-handed giant who crowdfunded last year. They managed to go to just over $1 million on their crowdfunding.
They were another one who smashed their target.
Yeah,
they were around
very
about the same
quickly.
time as Northern Monk, weren't they?
Yeah.
Right.
And they've now they've now used the money and they've opened a new brewery in Bristol. So this is in the Leisure Quarter, Finzel's Reach, taking over the compressor building overlooking the waterfront. Ground floor of the building has returned to former use as a brewery, where Left-Handed Giant also houses a brew pub. There's going to be vegetarian pizza served there as well, and they're going to use their current brewery to start creating sour beers as well. So it's great to hear the positive side of a crowdfunding story.
Also good to hear that they turned that around quite quickly from the time they crowdfunded to get the bar opened as well.
Yeah, because that was what, possibly last summer?
Yeah, I would say that's under a year.
Maybe.
So they opened the new tap room now.
Opened
So
a
brew
couple of
pub
weeks
and tap
ago.
room.
I thought it was, yeah. So
Presumably, maybe they had the site in mind anyway. Therefore,
Yeah, maybe
pitched
they,
it.
Yeah.
maybe they've already got an option on it or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the article there doesn't go into detail as to what the
but it's
previous
nice though.
brewery was there.
It's nice
I'd be
to know.
quite intrigued to know.
It's nice to know that within a year they've managed to deliver, which would have been one of their core promises of the crowdfunding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite good.
So I think they might have done the normal sort of thing where there was possibly an investor opening first for a couple of days before they actually opened it to the public.
I think that's
so it's
only- I think
almost
that's
a
only fair
soft
anyway.
launch for the
Yeah,
investors. Yeah.
Soft launch, you get your discount or whatever it might be, but I
Yeah.
think that's only right. If you've invested, then you can get there.
That's good. I'm heading
Yeah.
out there in August, so
No, well, Bristol's a
looking forward
really,
to that.
really good beery destination because
Oh,
you
it's
did your Christmas.
Trimbo Crawl.
We did,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a really good beery
There are plenty
destination.
of venues to go to.
Yeah.
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 And it's just growing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of breweries out there and amazing like tap rooms as well.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the fact that it's quite criminal that the amount of good breweries and good bars in Bristol. I really want some of them to come to Hertfordshire, please.
No, but even as a city, it all feels like you don't have to walk too far. It's all
No,
very
yeah.
doable.
It's great.
I mean, we chose a few outliers because we wanted to go to places like Lost and Grounded and stuff,
Yeah.
a little bit walk in. But I mean, once you got close to the waterfront and the city centre, everything was fairly easy to get to.
Oh, you can spend-
I was in my boot then for my foot. I was still able to get around.
Yeah, that was the first time I went home. Anyway,
That is also true.
Wait, so which pub did you miss out on?
I don't actually remember which pub I left. But there were many. that I
To be
missed
fair,
out
he did
on.
actually go to the last pub that was on the itinerary, but he bypassed one in between, turned up at the last pub, when, oh, well, no one else is here. But we weren't there because we were still going to the next pub.
Yeah, I thought they'd been gone.
Oh, no.
So I left.
Had his own little pub crawl. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting in that newsletter they retained their old premises
Yeah.
to do sours.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And
Obviously,
also,
don't want to infect the new
No,
kid.
no.
Yeah.
It's also it seems to be quite a common thread at the moment.
Yeah,
There's a lot of breweries opening new breweries and then using their old one
Retaining
for
the
either
old one,
barrel
yeah.
aging or for sours. Because Wildcard's now using their old tap room as a barrel age
Yeah.
facility as well. So it's quite nice to see, especially with the amount of small brewers who didn't want to touch sours. Because they didn't want to fuck up their entire kit.
well, that is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened with Red Church to start off with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's probably where it started to go down for them.
And then just did 4 years of sours, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Because we
Because they
want
had no
to.
choice, yeah. Because the entire building was affected.
Soured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up on the news, this is a quick one from the Portman Group. Sir Martin Neri, who is now the chair of the group, recently headed to Manchester Metropolitan University as a visiting professor, and he reflected on the need for more action to tackle alcohol harm and the need for more producers to join the Portman Group, basically saying that we could do more and do more quickly if more alcohol producers were as courageous and as responsible as the 8 companies which currently fund us. I'm not being critical here of small producers who might genuinely not be able to afford to support us, but there are large drinks producers in the UK who fail to support the only organisation that regulates the industry, which takes harmful products out of the market and through informal advice stops the appearance of so many more. Frankly, those companies should be ashamed. So it sounds like the Portman Group are a bit of a cry for help in terms of more people supporting what they do, maybe?
I don't think it's people. I get the sense it's money.
yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Do you want my hot take?
Because I think the industry probably by and large supports what Portman's doing, but they just don't support it necessarily by
Because of who they're supported by.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So
He sounds a bit more on the alcohol is bad kind of side from that snippet.
I think if you read the whole thing, the statements in there, I think he's saying in moderation is good, and even he recognises, your 14 unit limit a week. There should be more education that says if you occasionally go above that, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think he's just obviously keen that the message that the Portman Group's trying to get out there, whether it's the advertising or the health messaging, gets out to a wider market. It's more consistent, and the way you do that is by getting money. I mean, but the trouble is
they are currently funded by like every single big brewer,
well,
apart from
yeah. I mean, it's an industry.
the Scottish one.
It's an industry-funded body. It's an industry-funded body. I think the trouble is if they get more brewers and distillers and drinks manufacturers supporting them financially, I just can't help thinking that leaves them open to more criticism that they are just at the beck and call of the drinks industry.
So more harm could be done to the smaller producers by those one-off
Maybe.
rogue
Yeah, it was like
claims
that shit report that they put out last year around the whole limiting the strength of beer, and it's
in the size. Of
in the size. I mean, which I have gone on a rant for anyway, because I would really like some 125 ml bottles of strong beers, but
all like the small Coke cans.
yeah, exactly, like little Coke cans and little slimline G&T cans. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? You're not actually helping the small producers here. You're fucking, I don't know. You're just strangling them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Anyway.
they're trying to convey a message of a responsible industry, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're trying to do it by voluntary codes,
Yeah, but they're
voluntary
failing.
practice, as opposed to, because the next step is if voluntary codes don't work,
then the government sets
it's in,
it.
and
Sets
it all becomes
regulation.
mandatory.
But that's the whole point of the Portman Group, is that they're lobbyists. They're trying to get the government to enforce. I mean, they do. Okay, I'm just going to shut up because
No.
it's fine.
You're
I've just
with
got.
us.
I've got Andrew just pulling faces at me. So it's the point when I know that I just need to
To be
shut
fair,
up.
I picture him doing that all the time on the podcast.
Pretty much. We're
We're just getting a live version of it. Yeah.
I'm actually thinking of just packaging the podcast with a little GIF of Andrew's faces.
Faces.
Like, it'll be great.
Pulling this at this point.
Anyway.
Next up, SEBA, another big industry organisations. They've appointed a new chief executive. So James Calder has replaced Mike Benner, who's leaving to head up the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers. Calder is currently the trade body's head of public affairs and communications, but starts a new role on the 1st of July. Obviously, he's excited about starting a new role and thinks there are lots of opportunities for SEBA to do more.
Well, he's right about that. But I think a lot of the smaller producers who are part of SEBA think the same thing anyway.
That they could be doing more,
Yeah.
or should be doing more.
But could and should.
Was I right in hearing that they promoted internally? He's
so
basically,
he was,
yeah.
head of
Yeah,
comms.
so they're probably not going to change anything then. Great.
Well, I don't know. But he's young.
Especially
he's
if
got
it's the
big
PR
ideas.
guy. I'm just going to
Yeah,
say,
he's-
I've worked in PR.
I mean, the few comments I saw on Twitter seemed fairly favourable, but I don't know how close they were to him in the first place. But it seemed favourable comments.
Yeah.
Mike Benner's changed. So Canberra, SEBA, personal injury.
Personal injury.
Ambulance chasers.
Yeah.
That's a leap.
Yeah.
Isn't it just? Yeah. You obviously gain a lot of skills when working for SEBA that you can
Transferable, I think is the phrase.
Yeah. And we are going for the full bingo card on the news tonight. So this next one's camera. Hang on, we're not finished the news yet. Camera's extending the discount voucher scheme beyond just Wetherspoons. So they had it adding more than 600 additional pubs this summer, including pubs operated by Stonegate, SA Brain and Castle Rock will join. Members are set to receive £30 worth of vouchers, each worth 50p from the 1st of July. Now, within that, those pub companies operate such real ale venues as Yates and Walkabout and Missoula. which are all known for their real ale.
Yeah, that's always the first point of call when I want a pint of red ale.
Walkabout, definitely.
Yeah.
So
And the
Real ale
vouchers are only to
cider
be
straight
used on
Is that-
real
is that-
ale.
the vouchers are only.
So you can't
for
just
real
go in and
ale.
get any drink. It's
So-
The Walkabout at Temple have real ale. I've never seen it there.
Yeah, they've got London Pride in bottles.
Does that count?
That's
probably
real ale.
not.
Is it
I
used
bet
to
it. I
be?
bet it's on. It's got to be on.
I mean, we all know that Australia is famed for its real ale
Yeah.
production, so
I just find that a really strange move. I can see that their idea, their thinking behind we need to expand this scheme.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it gets them away from the whole Weatherspoons thing.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
bugging them now for a few years.
Some of the places that
like the SA Brains ones make sense. Cause,
Yeah, absolutely,
You know, but
yeah.
It's definitely.
It's
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
but it's
I
only
would
their
have
pubs, and
actually
That's quite regional.
yeah, I would have
So-
expected some like because what is it? Marston's are one of the biggest
yeah.
Yeah.
pub co's, and they've always got good, decent real ale. And then I mean,
Well, even Punch.
yeah,
You know, whether you like
Yeah.
them or not, they do always have a real ale.
Yeah.
They always have real ale on a Punch tavern.
Would they not just be better off expanding it to some of those big regional breweries? So you could use this voucher on a pint of Marsden's
But then I
wherever you
suppose,
see it.
then I suppose it depends who signs up, don't it?
Well, I mean, one radical option is you don't give any vouchers. You are a member because you're supporting a cause, and the money goes towards. No, you don't. You don't. You don't necessarily become a member
To be
just
fair,
to get a freebie
I'm not,
voucher
I'm not
back.
telling my dad, I know, so it's like that.
No, so
no.
you become a member to get discounts,
Oh,
don't you?
yeah.
To use
To
your
be
card
fair,
in pubs.
I signed up in 2001, there was none of those discounts.
I just feel like they could do more with,
Yeah.
with this rather than. I get what they're trying to do, but I just
A
think,
couple of those ones on there, it makes no sense.
yeah,
Yes.
it's really strange.
I mean, I am surprised
maybe-
that they
maybe-
didn't do it with some of the bigger, like, you know, you would expect somebody like Green King for even
Yeah, but maybe
for the
this-
shit
maybe,
that Green King
maybe
did,
it's a
but-
starting point. You know, I don't know what timescale they had in which to revise.
I mean,
their
to be honest-
voucher scheme, but maybe.
Maybe Cameron went and talked to all of those pubs and they
I think-
went, no,
I think a lot of people,
you're dead.
I think there are people who will appreciate it, and there are people who will be
Yeah.
to use them. If you are in the right part of the country, then you've got access to spoons and brains, maybe. But the thing is, when I start again it's on social media, the more vocal ones, the ones who think the same, maybe say as you, Andrew, and are maybe not quite so polite at saying it as well, and the whole. So they're probably a bit of an own goal with some people.
Well, I think
doing that.
the irony for this and Camera to me is this is an organisation of people that want to support and help cask ale flourish. Yeah, I want my fucking discount on it as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go in there and pay full whack,
But-
recognising it's a quality product. I want to get a discount on it, otherwise I'm not coming in.
Yeah,
Did they?
That's a bizarre situation.
Did they give the because they were talking a couple of years ago about actually recognising keg as decent
Well, you
beer.
got GBBF this year,
And they
haven't you?
did, yeah, and they have taken
They've got
steps.
PK,
I mean,
right?
why wouldn't they have, you know, maybe gone for some good chains that do good keg as well?
Ooh,
Like,
that's
I
a
mean,
step.
crazy.
That is crazy.
That's proper.
I mean-
radical
I
thing.
mean, that still discounts Walkabout as well, anyway.
Well, that's very true. That's very true. That's very true. I mean, you know, I need that discount on my Fosters. It's otherwise I just can't survive.
Otherwise, I'll never buy it.
Yeah. I mean, what else am I going to put my lemonade into?
And to finish the news, and for the full bingo card,
Oh.
Brewdog. They've saved cask beer.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Because clearly after Camera extended the voucher scheme, cask beer
Yeah.
needed saving. Now there was the news that they have released Cask Punk IPA,
And
and
they called it Old Punk. Like,
no,
Should have done,
just,
shouldn't they?
just
oh.
cask. I think they're actually calling it cask.
They were calling
Even though
cask.
it's in a key. Now we were gonna talk about this because we did a poll that we was asking people around if the opportunity arises, are you going to try it? Can you tell us if you've tried it? We were hoping to try it in Liverpool
Yeah.
so that we could have a discussion about
They had
this.
the tap.
They didn't have it on, so
No.
we're not going to talk about it.
I tried tonight. it wasn't on.
Yeah, so if it's not on, we're going to talk about
I agree.
it, can we?
So
So,
just put a big line through that
so
bit.
shoot yourself in the foot a little bit there, Brewdog.
have you ever had a Brewdog cask?
I tried the dead pony.
I tried
Dead
the
pony.
live Dead
Fucking
Pony.
awful.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't great.
I'm really hoping James listens to this.
It wasn't. I don't think he does.
No, he's doing all those Brewdog flights now. He's probably listening to us. It takes up the time. Practically all the way to Colorado.
And that's the news. this week. So with apart from me, who's been talking quite a lot, everyone's finished their brown.
Their
ale.
taster of the brown, yeah.
Final thoughts on this?
I stopped thinking about the bourbon bit, I had to, and I think I will agree with you. It was actually quite drinkable.
It was lovely and smooth.
Really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
It's,
Yeah.
But, you know, you
that was
wouldn't peg it as a brown ale.
No.
No, I would
trouble,
still,
that's the trouble.
agree with that if you're talking
Yeah.
about comparing it to her style, but I suppose they did muck about with the brown ale by the coffee and the bourbon barrel though.
Yeah. But I could have easily had a good 2/3 of that. Maybe
Yeah.
not a pint, but
Yeah, pint might be, because I think
might
you
have got a
would-
bit chewy at the end.
but I think you would also convince yourself it was bigger
Yeah.
Easily, yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was still at 6.5. You'd still get wanking if you tried to.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
of pints of it, you'd notice.
Yeah.
So what do we reckon? Is Andrew getting a point though?
Half a point.
No, I think I'm going to give Andrew a full point actually, because I've seen a lot of brown ales this year, and I do think it's a style that we're maybe going to see a bit more of.
Don't encourage him.
And also, the Colonel have always done like an India brown
Absolutely.
ale.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So it means he's just going to
So-
play James Brown on our podcast.
All the time.
I think he has to now.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely has to be
Yeah.
on the next show.
I'd agree with that. I reckon 1-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all going to fall apart on the next thing.
It is, because the next two are really interesting.
I don't know. I reckon I've got it.
I think
It's in the bag.
I think at this stage we can probably interject with
Yes.
maybe a different style of beer.
Yes.
Something that we've seen on trend, maybe coming back into trend this year. We've got the West Coast Pow from Cloudwater, which is part of their, I think it's their occasional range now, rather than seasonal
Occasional range.
Seriously.
I don't know. I've got to admit, since they changed it all, I've lost track a little bit with what Cloudwater are doing. So
This is our tertiary range.
but this is West Coast Pale, 5%, inspired by the classic easy drinking pale ales from America's West Coast. This is a style where balance between punchy aromatic hop notes and solid drinkability is key. So let's give this a try.
Cheers.
Holy shit.
What are you using Polish shit in it?
Oh, sorry, I had a taste before we cheers. Very bad form. Ah, it's so bitter.
It's got a lovely aroma on it.
So this is your go-to style, isn't it?
This is
Absolutely, yeah.
This is.
Oh, this is bitter.
This is-
Cloudwater have saved bitterness.
I'm just-
fucking hell.
You sure Brewdog haven't already done that?
They tried when they're talking about them.
It's these days somebody's saving something, aren't they?
That's more bitter than their West Coast IPA that they brought out.
Well,
It is.
no, it's not.
This is drier and more bitter.
Well, okay, so it's with a difference of opinion on their West Coast
Yeah.
IPA. I tried it from the can. I thought it was amazing. I gave it 5 on Untapped, and I've put it straight in as Beer of the Year contender.
This one.
No, they did a West Coast IPA recently as well. Came in at about 7.5%. It was absolutely cracking. It was bang on style, and it had everything you wanted from a West Coast IPA.
I didn't.
You're wrong. You're actually wrong.
It was nice, but it didn't have everything. This is better. This
You had it
West-
from
the
keg
pale ale.
though, didn't you?
I did have it from
You
keg.
didn't have it from can.
True, but on that day,
So you're wrong.
when I came here for the Cave Direct party,
See, it's not just us.
I had the I had the IPA from Oedipus, which they managed to not call a West Coast IPA, but was a West Coast IPA, and that trumped all the other IPAs that day, including North Mum.
Okay. Anyway, all that aside,
All that is there.
in terms of trends this year, we have seen a resurgence of the West Coast style, haven't we?
Has actually been named as a style now as well, isn't it? So
Well, there are a lot of breweries now calling things West Coast.
yes,
Yeah.
So we've got West Coast IPA, West Coast Pale Ales to differentiate between what the last couple of years of juice bombs, haven't we?
Yeah. Which and they're now obviously being called East Coast.
Yeah.
You were going to say North England.
I was
again.
going to say North England again, which was why there was a pause there, and then I was like North Coast,
North
East
Coast.
Coast, yeah,
That famous North Coast of the
West
USA.
Coast,
Yeah.
West Coast was a style for a long time.
But it was
Yeah,
never-
it was,
this
but
was
it was
the
never
original-
it
but
was
it was
never
never called it.
branded as West Coast.
Yeah, it was
no,
just IPA.
They were just they were the original craft IPAs, right? Because
Yeah.
it was all your Sierra Nevadas and your like all the ones that made it out here anyway. Or your Sierra Nevadas, even the Anchor, which is, I mean, slightly different style. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, but Not happy about this, guys.
Is it too bitter?
It's where's my milkshake?
Of course. Sorry, I forgot you love a milkshake. don't you?
But it wasn't on your trends list.
It wasn't
No,
because
because
it
it's
was last year.
already-
Mate. It was
yeah.
last year. I mean, now they're just putting lactose into everything else. But I'd love to have a West Coast IPA with some lactose in it.
No, I wouldn't.
Sour IPAs should have been on our trend list. That's what we should have picked.
Sour IPA.
Sour
yeah.
IPA.
Yeah, there have been a couple of those as well. haven't there?
Yeah, but they're just sour beers. Anyway.
But yeah, the West
but
Coast.
the West Coast, yeah.
What do you think's caused that resurgence?
I honestly feel that people have started to seek out the bitterness again. I think there's been
Just a reaction to-
There's a little bit of juice fatigue going on.
Does this mean that we're going to start seeing those like 1,000 IBU beers again?
One can only hope.
I think it does mean
And then
that,
we'll have
but
you on the show for those.
I also think it means actually what we're going to get now is actually beers of both style, which is what we haven't had. It was everything went
One or
New
the other.
England
Yeah.
leaning. Everything
Yeah.
went cloudy, everything went sweet, everything went hazy, and people stopped brewing this style of beer. And I think we're now getting this style of beer coming back again as an option.
Also, people stopped brewing a beer from the one end of the process to the other. They topped it 2/3 through and said, "Look, this is nice, hoppy and juicy. Cook it, finish it, for fuck's
Yeah.
sake."
And then there was those few occasions where the odd brewery expected you to finish it at home in your fridge.
Yes.
To do the last stage of the process for them.
Celebrate it for 6 weeks. Don't bother having it straight away.
Yeah, this isn't quite ready, but
Yeah.
keep it in your fridge for 6 weeks and it'll be fine.
Well, by the way, we won't tell you that until half a dozen people have
Yeah.
popped them open
Yeah.
and found
After you
out.
pay 15 quid a can for it.
And then we'll say, oh no, you were meant to keep
And
it.
Yeah.
there's a few none too complimentary pictures and social media.
Yeah.
I think this is really good. I know what you're saying. It is bitter, and if you're going more towards the East Coast style, then this probably will be a bit of a shock to the system. There'll be a few people at work. If I presented this at the work beer tastings, especially after a few recent tastings, this would be a bit of a shock to the system there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a decent beer. It's just that first hit of. It's funny because it's like you read in the can and they're like, Seville orange, like caramel, white peach, and then it's like no,
No.
bitterness.
No.
Bitter.
Well, if
It
that
is
finish off a
dry.
clean, dry, lightly resinous, and bitter finish sets this beer apart.
I'm not
And
sure
that's-
about
I mean, it's not clean either. That is like
It does hang around in the mouth.
it's still clinging to
Yeah.
the sides of my tongue. It's.
That's the sort of beer I then would revisit. That's what makes
I'm
me
all
go back
over
to it.
this, yeah.
I'd like to
Absolutely.
know sister music.
But do you think it disappeared as a style just in the UK market? I assume it didn't disappear in the States. You know, it's just over here. It all went tip.
I don't know. It's if you look at the big American breweries, the big, your massive hipster ones, so your Trillium, your Other Half, all those kind of ones. They were all doing big juice bombs.
Yeah,
and that was
there
their,
really wasn't much in Trillium.
A
It
lot of-
wasn't that.
Really.
Yeah.
It was definitely more towards the East Coast.
It was basically the only ones who kept doing this style of beer were the ones that were the traditional West Coast brewers.
Sierra
So,
Nevada,
yeah.
Stone. I
Exactly,
don't think
yeah,
they
yeah.
ever stopped
Yeah.
doing this style of beer.
And probably one of the reasons I fell in love with Half Acres because these were exactly the kind of beers they were delivering.
Absolutely, yeah. And but I think what we literally said, and I think you see it with everything, don't you? Is that we saw that the UK took hold of the trend and it got excited by it, and everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to produce the next big juice bomb,
Yeah.
and you kind of also almost saw that in a much smaller version with the Brute IPA phenomenon that lasted for about 6 weeks last year, where everybody had to brew one, and that was the only style that anybody was talking about. But thankfully that died off really quickly.
Yeah,
Still a few stragglers, but yeah.
yeah.
I quite like the feel of them.
Yeah, I quite. Some of them
I
are
think
quite nice and champagne.
I probably just didn't have enough to formulate a proper opinion about it, to be honest, or enough good ones. Yeah, but I'm quite glad they've now got a bit more variety there. So they've got the small beers, they've got a few more of the West Coast style beers. They are still producing their juice bombs.
They're doing some lagers.
Backwards
Lagers
half.
as well
backward
now.
half.
Yeah, they've saved cast too.
Yeah.
So, but
Without shouting about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and they actually put taps attached to them as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. who knew you could do that?
In addition to this, then as well, the other style that I've seen starting to rear its head a little bit, and literally as we record today, I've seen 2 posts by 2 separate breweries advertising this style of beer. Andrew, you can pronounce this better.
Well, I'm going to say it's Kvik.
Yeah,
Kvik beer,
Kvik, yeah.
which is
It's a
we
yeast.
believe it's a Norwegian
Yeast?
It is Norwegian yeast, yeah. So I've only ever had it in Norway before. I think we had a can at yours
Get
as
you,
well.
man. I've only ever had it in Norway.
Oh, he's
Well-
head of the train.
I am.
This is a style I'm unfamiliar with.
Okay, so today alone, I've seen Siren advertise that they are releasing a Kvik IPA, and Unbarred and Gypsy Hill are releasing a collaboration. Again, I think it's a Kvik IPA as well, using this Norwegian. I think it's like a farmhouse yeast.
yeah.
Do you
It's,
two know
it's cultivated using a ring.
By the way,
like
apparently
a wooden
it's,
ring.
It's Kvike.
Is it Kvik?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The king's of pronunciation here. Of course we were going to
To be
get it
fair, I haven't tried, and I'm not going to.
Wait, are we going to go back to what? Oh, never mind.
So I've had a Gypsy Hill recent one, their Tolchok, which I think is a orangey IPA, but it's done
Yeah,
with
it's done with Kvike.
whatever, Kvike.
So is that a yeast? Did you
I
say?
think I'm
It's a
pretty
yeast.
sure it's
Yeah.
the yeast.
So it is actually, it's a Norwegian dialect word for yeast, which
Okay.
is, yeah, but it is specific to Norway.
It's like we say, it's kind of halfway through the year in terms of when you guys first released that. In terms of your predictions, you're 1-1 at the moment.
Yeah.
I've just suggested a couple of other things that I think
We've suggested a prediction 6 months in.
Yeah.
But to tie it in perfectly though, so Andrew, one of Andrew's suggestions was historical beers, right? So he put up the Lichtenheiner, was it?
Yeah,
Lichtenheiner, which was a shit prediction because literally nobody has brewed one.
It wasn't one of those, but wasn't it more historical style?
It was historical styles,
or lost
which
styles, or
Kvik is a historical Norwegian style. So it's like, so you know, hey, you guys have just collabed on a beer trend.
And it was
you can probably
interesting.
put that on Untappd
It was
if you
interesting to
want.
hear Mark talk about smoked beers in your last podcast.
Yeah,
so
good rock.
his Grodzki, I think, falls into a heritage historic style.
Yeah.
So and you had how many of those? Two.
Two of those.
Two of those.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that's a trend. In fact, it isn't a trend. But
Two beers is
Both,
definitely a trend.
Marble brew it quite regularly, and Torso definitely do, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think,
Do they?
you know,
so they're not
They
even
definitely-
they're
they
not even done in their
definitely
native markets. They're done in the UK.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of Gruets out as well, but I really don't want to see any more.
No.
I don't ever want to have to drink one again.
Okay.
It's just they're fucking horrible, aren't they?
Yeah, 'cause they've got no hops in them.
they're not nice. I would say.
So you've struggled a little bit with the historical styles then.
Definitely.
So
It's because Andrew's shit.
and you say that, but there are breweries in the UK doing it, and that are planning to do it, and have got long-term plans to do it. So we know the Cheshire Brew House have brewed the
Well, they've done it-
Lavinda
they've done it before.
IPAs
They'll do it again.
using heritage malts and
Yeah.
hops. We know that Steve at Beer Nouveau has got a whole
yeah,
heritage
okay,
program going. We do know that those cheeky Scottish scamps they bought, was it Allsops? Was it the Allsops IPA brand? With a view to bring that back with, I think it's Ron Patterson who's working with
Oh,
them
wow.
to bring
Seriously?
back to bring back historic IPA through there. So it seems as though. And then you've got Green King, who tried to jump on the bandwagon with their heritage.
Yeah, what happened to that? I never.
series.
To be fair,
Saw it
I
anywhere.
tried
Frank
both. I
Frank
tried
did
both.
over shit.
Well, okay.
And
I
they
mean-
decided to stop brewing.
Actually, I
Green-
don't
Green
think
King
one of
haven't-
them was alright.
Can we? No. Will you stop disagreeing?
Yeah, but one of them was alright.
We're such a bad
One of them was,
Which one?
I don't know. I've talked my Untappd now, but that goes back quite a while. One of them was because I purposely had a pint of Green King IPA just to see the heritage beers were nicer, and both of them were better.
Wow.
Okay.
This is like the Chevalier malts or something that
Yeah,
we do
yeah,
at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, they were using the similar sort of malts to the ones that we found in the ones from the Cheshire Brew House.
Yes. Yeah. But just not used as well.
Oh, definitely not used as well.
as
I didn't
by-
rush out and buy a case of 12, but I did after
No,
having
no,
the
you
Cheshire Brew
didn't.
House.
Yeah. So in terms of scoring you on those ones, I don't think we can award any points
No,
for
no, that's fair enough.
the historical.
That's fair enough.
Styles.
I mean, it is pretty damning that we got to Beer Merchant, which is probably one of the biggest bottle
Yeah, if you were gonna find
sort of
it,
tap houses
you'd find
in
it
London.
here.
And literally no,
Couldn't find a thing.
No.
nothing.
And that brings us on to the last one, which was your suggestion, Luke. which was wine-forward beers. Now, first of all, do you want to explain what you were going for with that?
Not really, to be honest. No, so I mean, so this is the concept is, so it was after reading a bunch of beer predictions from American beer pundits. And
That's a proper job.
So you basically
beer
stole somebody
pundits.
else's ideas and claimed them as your own?
Do you think I have original ideas? I get all mine from Twitter. It's great. Anyway, no, yeah. So the idea is that these are beers that are supposed to replace wine for some drinkers. So they've got similar characteristics to wine. A lot of them are barrel aged in wine barrels or using wine yeast. So which is, even though you guys just blanket slagged it off, Brew IPA is a really good example of a wine forward beer. Or something like Ninkasi, right? So Ninkasi, which is
see that.
pretty much
absolutely get that.
I mean, it's pretty much a core range of Wild at the moment, and
And available in Waitrose.
Yeah, for
yeah, exactly.
dirt cheap as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Well, just for a moment, are we talking beer styles being like done by UK breweries?
So, I mean, there are. So, I mean, mine was worldwide because I'm a global citizen. You know, it's. I didn't vote for Brexit. I'm just saying. It's. I like to look outside of my little bubble, but no, actually, in the UK, there's this happening as well. It's like, because it's the same that.
I'm just curious because just going back to the heritage thing. Also, you know, you could argue. We are sitting here in the back room at Beer Merchants, and the whole of the top shelf that I'm looking at is pretty much heritage.
Well, it's interesting actually because it's like actually all the American. It was the only American trend that I could pick out that was actually interesting. Because all the other American trends were like, we believe that sours are going to be really big next year. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, sours have been big for 15 years now.
So wine forward beers is more like the replacement of wine at the table.
Yeah, it's the idea. It's to kind of lure wine drinkers
with
into
wine
beer.
characteristics
Well,
or-
yeah. So it's like that's why there's a lot of them that are barrel aged in wine. So the ones that we had, what did we have? We had the Blanc, didn't we? That was a bit.
Blush or the Blanc?
No, we had the blush. We had the no, we had the buzz, the honey-inspired wine beer from Pilot. Which, to be honest, I let them know on Twitter it was a bit pants. But then the Blanc, which I had a couple of weeks later, which is like a white wine yeast saison, which was actually pretty damn tasty. Really could not do a 750ml bottle of it, especially because it was fucking 13%.
You're not supposed to do a second.
Nobody else wanted it.
Drink responsibly.
I've opened this now. Anyone want some? No? Okay.
Just me,
Yeah.
Just me then.
But I mean, more. I have seen quite a few other. So as I said, like the Brut IPA is, I think, still going. Whatever, despite what you guys say.
Well, the odd one keeps coming out.
Yeah. But you do get a bit more sort of champagne yeast beers.
I was going to say champagne yeast has always been quite popular, hasn't it?
Yeah, and especially I think as we're coming into summer, a bit of champagne yeast in beer, it's quite nice.
Well,
quite,
the Chapel Down Lager uses their champagne yeast.
yeah,
Or
there you
does
go.
it?
I suppose they can't call it champagne yeast to be fair, but
No,
they
but,
use
yeah.
the yeast from their sparkling wine goes into their
Okay.
lager.
Yeah.
Secondary fermentation is used in it.
They're English sparkling wine yeast.
Yes. I know it doesn't sound quite the same, but
It's
the
not got
principle's
quite the same ring
You
to
know,
it.
there's
But
definitely a few of the Belgian beers, like the Marriage Parfait, uses champagne yeast.
yeah.
And I think
I
because
wouldn't
of
really say that that's part of the recent trends, though.
No, not too recent.
No.
because of where we are tonight, I think we've got an opportunity to actually try one which we feel might fall into this
Yeah, hopefully.
category as well. Because one of the house beers that they've got here is from Wild Beer, and I think it uses red wine.
Does use red
Yeast.
wine yeast. Yep.
Yeah.
Does it? So
Can you pronounce it though?
it's just called Huis, isn't it?
Use
Does that mean house?
Yeah.
I think it does.
in Cornish, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the same. A lot of the barrels behind us where we are recording tonight are the Huis beer barrels that they originally used. They've still got some of the
okay.
sediment for Huis in it,
Right.
and but they're now blending their own to create their own English wild beer.
Okay.
Ah.
Excellent.
So it's a bit of a second generation version
Yeah.
of it as
Look
well.
at that bit of trivia.
Yeah, I only found that out about 15 minutes ago as well.
Excellent.
So live. Live trivia.
Cheers.
Bit of tartness in the taste. It's
But I'll give it. There's definitely vinous qualities going on there.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
I would definitely.
you get
I
the-
would agree with that.
dryness of the red wine
Yeah.
on the.
I think this one's going to need to warm a bit before we can award any final points. So while we're letting that happen, let's get into this week's question.
Opinions, 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 opinions.
And this was one that was actually suggested by you guys ages ago, which was about taking and or stealing or acquiring glassware from a pub, and why you'd potentially do that.
But I think
what were the reasons behind it?
It was prompted by an article, I think, that tried to emphasise how much money pubs and bars are losing.
So this was it was in the Morning Advertiser, and basically customers are stealing around £186 million worth of tableware from pubs and restaurants each year, with just over 1 in 3 people, 36%, taking at least one glass
a year.
Wait.
A year?
When you say tableware, does that mean we have to do with that cutlery next week?
Ashtrays.
I don't know.
Oh no, you don't have it.
I think it's predominantly around glasses, but I think there seems to be, because I will admit to having taken quite a nice steak knife once or twice from a high-end restaurant.
Were you fearing trouble at the end of the evening?
Absolutely, yeah. And interestingly as well, this article also goes on to talk about a brewery that's local to us. So Leon C Brewery, their director said for them it's a reasonably minor but an ongoing nuisance for them is people stealing their glassware.
So I need to check, because I always assumed that if you had, say, branded glassware in a pub, that was likely given to them by the brewery for free.
I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, it depends when you say branded. So
not as in like the place.
Yes,
because
obviously the glasses we're drinking from are beer merchants.
I'm pretty sure beer merchants gave beer merchants these ones for free. But they would have had to buy them. They would have had to buy them first.
You're talking about your Stellas, your
your Stellas, or like so. I had we've got the local to my work is 10 Bells, and they've just started getting Pogo on tap, which is great. But they've got wild beer glasses for those. So of course, my work now has at least 4 wild beer glasses in their kitchen.
In their repertoire.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, if a brewery's giving them to them for free.
Well, I think this came out with some of the answers because since that article was published, there's been at least 2 occasions on Twitter where 2 fairly new start-up bars have publicly complained about the number of their glasses that are being stolen, and are actually saying to the people that are taking them, you're actually costing us money, and you're actually forcing us to pass that cost back onto you, because we're having to rebuy the things that you're stealing. So you're giving us one of 2 options: either we stop providing you with the nice things, or you start asking us if you can take our glasses, or paying us to take the glasses.
You know what?
Stop stealing them.
I think the whole glass deposit scheme concept is just such a fucking great idea.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
It's like
what's that? Is it in Bruges, that bar that takes your shoe as a deposit?
I've heard about this
So
place.
they take one of your shoes as a deposit for a certain beer, because all the beers have their own unique glasses in Belgium, or they tend to.
Yeah.
So I've been there, and there's a certain beer that they'll only give it to you if you hand over one of your shoes. And I think I've even seen they put it in a little cage, and they hoist it up to the ceiling. So your shoe's in a little cage in the ceiling, and you only get your shoe back.
Caged shoe.
You only get your shoe back when you obviously bring the glass back. And
does-
if you want to sacrifice one shoe, it's not even a pair you could write off. It's one shoe, which is great. And but that emphasises the point, doesn't it? I mean, they must get so many glasses taken in Belgium.
Yeah.
Belgium is, it's one of the first places where I noticed branded glassware per beer. Not venue.
Yeah.
It was just per beer.
Yeah.
And a different shape, size, everything was different about it.
yeah.
And some of it must just go like that, because either it's a memory of being in a fantastic place, having a fantastic beer, or you like the look of it, or whatever, or something you've never seen in the UK. Or
I've only ever stolen one beer glass, but that's bullshit. But the first beer glass I stole was
my first beer glass.
relatively recently, and it was a couple of years. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago in Reykjavik when I was out there from Mikella, because I figured so it was my first Mikkeller bar,
Okay.
so you know, it was like popping my Mikkeller cherry, which was nice.
That's the beer, isn't it?
That's not their next beer.
It could be.
It could be.
But also, I paid 24 quid for a can of Beer Geek breakfast there, and I figured if I just paid 24 quid for one can of beer, fuck that, I'm still in the glass.
You felt like you was entitled to it.
I was
It's
entitled to
entitlement.
take that.
Okay.
So you know, screw them. That's now my glass, and it's great. It's my bedside glass.
Well, we all fessing up now then.
Well, I think.
Oh, come on, how many do you have?
I think we've got to have an amnesty.
Well, I think
Let's be honest.
we should maybe start by saying, obviously, stealing isn't cool and it's illegal, and some people don't do
Is
it.
it stealing? You bought a beer.
Don't steal, kids.
Don't steal. So let's get that
You
out of the way.
bought a
But
beer.
yes, I mean,
It's fine.
I've taken glasses.
I've taken.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's a long time ago, but I have done it.
You've taken a whole fox head from Craft Beer Rising.
It's not a glass.
Okay.
It's not a glass. It's not a glass.
Mine was maybe more recently, and I will admit it, seeing as we're in an amnesty zone.
Oh, my last one was last Friday.
We were invited to an event at the Tate, and I really
nice,
liked the
nice.
Thornbridge glasses, so I took one because I really liked it. So I wanted one.
My wife came back from New York with some lovely copper cocktail glasses. They were fantastic. Definitely not Bourbon.
Okay, do you
Probably
think?
won't be allowed to
Okay,
have
I think
But I know it's not right.
in your question you had a lot of different reasons why people do it. And I think
yeah.
fundamentally
We did, yeah.
people think it's a victimless crime, so they don't see the harm in
Yeah.
it because they figure either, like Luke says, that pub or bar gets those glasses for free. It's no big issue. If
Or
I
they
take
charge a
one.
ridiculous amount for their beer.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I mean,
So I think the first glass I remember taking is memories of glass taking. Was it- when Hogarden first appeared in the UK on tap,
It's a
and
very
they had that
unique glass,
massive,
yeah.
chunky,
Heavy
crystal
glass.
goblet thing of a glass, and I've still got that at home. I think it gets used as a vase now more than a drinking vessel because it's so heavy. But you look at it and you just thought, whoa! And then even the fact I don't know what I was thinking to walk out of that because you can't get that in a pocket.
No,
That's just
it's like weight
yeah,
training.
yeah. So
Let's dive into the question and some of the responses that we got. Because we
How many
did,
votes do we have?
so we got 412 votes. It's quite difficult to get a bit of traction on this one. I think that was to do with some of the answers as well, because again, we always find if we give a simple yes or no, we get a lot more engagement
Yeah.
from
We
the
get
questions.
4 options this time.
But we did have,
and none
as-
of them was no. That's the trouble. None of them was no. It was all like you've taken.
Yeah.
We know you've taken one.
everyone knows.
What was the reason?
As always, there's loads of comments, and if you do want to have a look through all of those, there's a link to the question in the show notes. Click on that, and you can see everything. So the 4 options we gave were like the branding, souvenir, unintentional, or drunk, or other. 42% of people said they liked the branding, 24% said that it was a souvenir, 22% said it was unintentional or they were drunk, and only 12% on the other option.
22% of people were lying.
So-
I've taken
I
glassware.
mean, I've taken it because I like the branding, or it was a souvenir, but I was 100% drunk at the time.
Have you never walked away from a bar or a pub with a glass in your hand and you don't realise you've still got it until you maybe get to the next bar and then suddenly think, what was I doing?
When have you ever
never
walked
done
away
that.
from somewhere
Never.
with a pint in hand
Not a
and
point,
not
it's
realised?
just enough. Well, you're just taking it to get to the next bar.
Like,
You're not thinking
Well, like
straight.
100%
yeah, you're not thinking
or you were
straight,
steaming.
no?
Like,
No, you
one
didn't
of the two.
realise. No, you weren't stealing.
But no, I've also done that, but then I haven't taken the glass. I've just put it down on the side of the road. Is that
so
what?
that they can collect it later.
We've got some great drunken
Yeah, go on.
confessions
Yeah,
coming
I
up.
think that's
a little bit later on, but let's get into some of these. So James Moose, I have, but not since I was a student. Since I grew up a bit, I bought some branded glassware that I wanted and a load of glasses from festivals. And I mean, that's something else. Is that
Once you start going to festivals.
I'm sure once you start going to festivals, you don't ever want to see another piece of glassware in your cupboard.
Or once you
do
stop being 20.
Yeah.
Because I think most of mine were probably taken when I had next to no glassware, or
Yeah.
it was just shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of my glassware is all either from festivals or being gifted.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Chicken Dipper at Solander Graham. I have done so without asking in the past before I really realised it's a bit of a dick move. I've asked a few times for particular glasses and have had a success to refusal ratio. quite happy to buy glasses I want if I can find them these days. And quite a lot of people were saying that in terms of they're quite happy to pay for the glass if they're at a reasonable price or if they're at somewhere where they can get them.
Most bars are. I mean, when me and Michelle went out for our birthday, I think it was the first time we celebrated our birthday in London, she made a point of asking, and sometimes they would say it was free, sometimes it was like a couple of quid, depending where you were. Mondo get them for free, Brewdog things like a quid, and
Really?
one place did actually just say no.
Yeah, but the branding does, because I like the current Camden pints they have, the slightly squat ones.
We were drinking from those.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
Liverpool.
nice.
I really like them.
they're
Yeah.
slightly
That's what
shorter.
my
and
Macallan glass is. They're great.
I didn't think I liked them just by looking at them until I actually sampled drinking from one, and I really enjoyed
I
it.
don't like holding them or drinking from them, and trying to carry free is a lot harder as well.
Okay, I get that.
Whereas
That's
free normal pint
pint
glasses
size.
you can do. So now you need to
good
have
shout.
goalkeeper hands to be able to carry the Camden Hills.
And the other ones I like at the moment are the Beavertown ones with the pint glasses with the skulls all over.
I like those.
They're good.
I do like that.
Again, they're slightly shorter and squatter,
Yeah.
but not as short as squat as the
No,
Camden Wells
the
ones.
Beavertown ones, similar to Four Pure, they sort of feel more like the American pint glasses, whereas Camden has taken it another notch.
But I think that's also part of the reason why pubs and bars are probably so upset about it, because they have a beer to sell on the bar and they have a glass to put it in.
Yeah.
And you know, there is research that shows you think a beer tastes better if it's in the glass that it's branded as. And have you
Well,
ever,
it's
have
made
you,
for, yeah.
or have you ever felt upset that you got a pint of something that was in a different branded
Yeah, if I
glass?
don't get Guinness in a Guinness glass, I'm upset.
Yeah, exactly. So
Or if I get something else in a Guinness glass, I'm upset.
Yes.
So that pub and bar is trying to do that for you. They're trying to put the right beer in the right glass. And if everyone nicks all the right glasses, they can't do that.
Because
they can't
people
do it,
were
yeah.
taking Peroni glasses a few,
Oh
5-6
yeah,
years
there.
ago.
I think, I think when it comes down to it, it's like, well, actually, I suppose you're going to get into reading some of these later, but
And that's what we do.
but yeah,
Have you ever listened?
but the great readathon. No, it's I think it is like if you're stealing. I don't like. I 100% do not advocate for small tap rooms and whatnot to be stealing their
because
glass.
that's their business.
That's a dick move.
Yeah.
Like, that is definitely a dick move. You know, I think McKellar are slightly on the like the fact that they. Oh no, you haven't read this one. Do you want to read this one?
No, I'll tell you what. You go for it.
Okay, so okay, here we go. So this is
In your best.
This is first.
This is from
broadcast wise.
John at Beer in the Suburb.
Can we play the music over the top?
Yes, please. So yeah, in my younger days, doubt I'd do it again now, shut up. I did ask to buy a branded glass from McKellar London, but they told me it was £8, so gave it a miss. If it was more reasonably priced, £3 max, I probably would have bought one. On a related topic, I think the glass deposit scheme they have at some tap rooms, example Pressure Drop in Beavertown, is great. If you want a glass and take it, you've already paid for it. And I think that is like... So, McKellar, I love McKellar, but fuck them, because £8 for a glass.
£8.
Are you
It's
kidding
absolutely
me?
ridiculous.
Yeah, but what they're saying by saying £8 is don't take our glasses.
No.
They're not-
saying
No, if you're
steal
offering-
our
If you're
glasses.
offering to buy one,
Yeah, I would actually say they're
Why-
actually
why-
saying
yeah.
steal the glass.
why put it at that price?
Because it's like, especially, I mean, okay, so McKellar London is a little bit different because they are actually, for McKellar, quite reasonably priced. But, you know, if you go to a fucking McKellar bar in Reykjavik, for example, hypothetically, and you're paying like £10 for a half of something, and then you're wanting to charge £8 for a fucking glass.
I'm actually less keen on the deposit
ridiculous.
scheme because you do have to then queue up to get
Oh,
the money
really?
back.
I think, yeah, I mean, I actually haven't been to
I've
any of the
never been
places
to anywhere that
do-
does a deposit scheme.
Except for
I've-
festivals.
Happy to be Beavertown
Really?
and Pressure
Yeah.
Drop on the same day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to queue up. Pressure Drop was easier because they're not quite so many people and nicer than Beavertown. But
Well-
Beavertown is I had to go all the way through it and then queue just to get my money back. Actually, no, I think Michelle said, "Oh, we'll keep them." So there's another set of glasses I had to find space for
and carry home.
and carry home.
Yeah.
Actually, the last glass I bought was a Siren glass for their
There you go.
Odyssey. I think it came the drink and the glass were combined in the price, and it's a lovely glass. I was happy to get it.
Yeah.
That's one of those tumbler type ones as well, isn't
I
it?
do like
Yeah.
that. I feel
£8
sophisticated.
is ridiculous though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
That's
absolutely
going
shocking.
too far. It
I
can't
mean,
cost.
£8 for a, yeah. I wouldn't buy that in a good shop.
I wouldn't. No.
I wouldn't buy it in a bad shop, a good shop, or a bloody gold player
Certainly
shop.
won't buy it in IKEA. At the other end of that
That's a
spectrum, though,
revelation. It doesn't mean, oh, no. Let's not get into IKEA gate.
Guzzler at lagging_boat. When those stem glasses started being served in Weatherspoons with 6-point beers, I may have liberated when drunk.
I reckon he's not the only one.
I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense. 1, it's spoons. 2, nice glassware.
Yeah.
If you listen to the last Rhythm Brews podcast, you know that is a selling point. So,
Do you not think some bars maybe appreciate that if you take a branded glass away, you're going to, in this day and age, it's going to appear somewhere on social media with a beer in, even if it's not there.
yeah, it's just free
It's
marketing.
just going to be
right?
in
I
there.
mean, although the 6-point
Free
glasses
marketing.
didn't have 6-point on them, did
No,
they?
They're
they were
not.
just-
But they were just good-looking glasses.
They're
It's almost
essentially like what we're drinking from now.
They
It's like
should have put
without
their bloody
the beer merchants,
Instagram
like-
handle on them.
But a bit bigger and had the bit at the bottom to keep it carrying on, staying
the
fizzy.
nucleated base. Or
That's
whatever
it.
it is, yeah,
Yeah.
the one that keeps fizzing.
So from Sean O'Reilly, I have done but not recently. I understand that in a small operation, glass theft is a big issue. Maybe predominantly advertising branded glasses for sale might deter some thefts. Using the word theft quite a lot here.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
By
It is.
making people aware of the cost of
It's
glass.
stealing.
Yeah. When I did take glasses, I imagined it was harmless.
I think this
That's
is,
from
should be
Sean O'Reilly,
overall. This
yeah.
should be like a confessional, and everyone's absolved at the end of this.
Yeah.
2 Hail Marys and a couple of fathers.
But actually, I think I think Sean and the next one, just getting ahead here. I think they do get onto good points here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, shall I read this one?
Yeah,
quite
It's a
isn't
long
it?
one.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually a new startup tap
Yeah.
room
Yeah,
that replied,
exactly.
which we're really grateful for these guys getting involved in the discussion
Yes,
as well, because
it's a different
they
perspective.
have
Exactly.
Well, once you've read it, people
Yeah.
will understand what they're saying. I think.
So, from That Beer Place at That Beer Place HQ. Never, as I was brought up to know that stealing is wrong. Now I own my own place. I'm constantly horrified by the number of people who believe that taking glasses is somehow justified. If you take a glass without permission, you are a thief, plain and simple. If you were caught shoplifting, you'd likely be prosecuted. There's absolutely no difference in shoplifting and stealing glassware. We've only been open 8 months and already had to pay several £100s to replace stolen glassware. Less than ideal for a start-up business with margins are tight and absolutely every penny counts.
So
that's the absolutely hard edge to this.
it is like this is the other end of the spectrum, right? And
It's not even
I
a spectrum. It's
I
a
like shut up, it's a spectrum. I like about a third of that response.
a third of it. What, the bit where you're called a
What,
liar,
yeah,
a
yeah,
thief,
yeah, the bits.
a thief.
Well, you can take out
If
all
you're
the bits where
justified-
they're
It's a
talking about
little
stealing.
bit like it is a little, yeah. I think I do think that it is something, because it is a hard truth though, right? And it is something that anybody going into a beer business should know happens. So they should be building it into their margins, and a lot of pubs do build it into their margins.
I don't think they do.
Is it? No, is it? It's.
I mean, being open 8 months and like several £100s. I'm gonna lose a listener here for you, but being open 8 months and £700. That's not a massive expense. It's less than I would have
Mate,
actually
have
thought.
you ever run a bar? Have you ever opened
No,
a
but
bar?
I've run a business.
Come on,
I've lost
margin-
way
margin-
more than
So
£700.
if you've run a business, how would you feel if somebody just walked into your business one day and just helped himself to a laptop
But
and then walked out?
yeah, no, 100%. I do agree with it, but I
How do
think
you- how do you
shouting
feel-
thief at them is probably not the way to go about it. It's
I think
building in your margins for shrinkage, and also maybe doing some shit like putting some, if they like your glassware, put your glassware up for sale, not at £8 a glass. But anyway.
I don't think there's anything that Beer Place has written that isn't accurate.
No.
Yeah,
And I think
without a
you,
doubt.
but you did say it is a hard truth. What I
I
would
don't
say
think
is
people want to hear that.
No,
That's
people
the
don't
thing,
wanna hear it.
No, of course they don't.
I definitely don't.
no.
We've established that.
No one who's in the amnesty zone that we're currently in, no one who's ever taken a glass wants to be told what he just said. He or she have just
No,
said.
that you're actually affecting someone's business. Well, you're probably affecting some business more than others, but the reality is that
Yeah.
some businesses are hit hard by that.
And it's all very well for the 48-year-old me now would say that's wrong.
Yeah.
But this place may not be attracted to just 48-year-old me's. What about if I was the 24-year-old me going in there and thinking the glass was really nice?
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I don't know. I still go back to my, if that is seriously affecting your business, then you need to sort your shit out and actually figure a way to mitigate that.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's a big enough
Yeah,
issue.
but maybe their glasses are up for sale, but maybe people still think they can just help themselves to them.
Maybe their glasses are made from crystal.
No, that's the McKellar ones.
Ah,
That's the McKellar ones.
That's why they're £8 a shot.
Yeah.
Another long one here from recent guest Mark Johnson at Mark and
Can't believe
Johnson.
you got him before us.
Before Good Beer Festival glasses existed around 2011, the only reason I had any non-pint glasses in my cupboard was drunken souvenir grabbing. My mate once took 8 from the Grove in one night in 2016.
If they want to check their security
2006.
footage.
Oh yeah, 2006. Sorry, yeah, I read that wrong. Looking back, so that's like 13 years ago. That's
Yeah.
well pre-craft. Looking back, they were all point of sale brewery glasses, and pubs get sent a lot of those, and can even just ask for more at any point. That didn't factor into my morality at the time. Just saying that it is different to the branded glasses we see today. Specific pub branded glasses cost a lot these days, but they didn't used to exist much. They are a nice touch, but I always wonder if it's worth it. People are still going to get drunk and help themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point.
Mark's always the voice of reason, really, isn't he?
He is, but he's right. That would happen, and probably plenty of people have done that in the past. So
Yeah.
that's all in the mid 2000s.
I've never taken 8.
No, 8.
Not 8 in one night.
8 is a challenge.
That's almost like for every pint this person had, they then took
I've
the
had
glass
that, I've
home
had that.
and then came back for another
How
pint.
did they carry 8 glasses? That's
Yeah.
what I want to
Well,
know.
the fact that they probably just had the balls to walk out with 8 glasses.
But what, just stacked
Yeah,
up?
stacked
Just
up,
not
yeah.
going
Yeah.
out. I mean,
Up north.
Mark, can you please tell us how it happened?
A long coat,
Full
inside the coat like a shotgun.
Maybe they just had a bag
Yes,
with a lot of bubble wrap in it.
yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they had
No, but that's a lot of preparation, though.
premeditated glass stealing.
They brought a cardboard box with them with the little compartments. It was just
So from drinking craft at Hoppy Sweets, I tend to offer to buy these days, and most bars suggest a donation to their charity, which I feel is bloody jolly good of them. Favourite time is when bar dude said, if I turn my back right now and the glass goes missing and I don't know what happened to it.
see, that's what I think.
I had that before when I wanted a Cane's glass when I was in Liverpool in 2008.
I will just say at this point that listeners have probably picked up there's a terrible squeaking
Yeah,
going
where
on
is it
in
coming
the
from?
background.
Is it the benches or is
Actually, I think it's the bench that I'm sitting
No,
on.
I think they've had to put the air conditioning back on in the cold store here. I think they turned it off for a bit. It's a different squeak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if you
So-
have heard it, we do apologise.
Yeah,
There's
there's
not much we can
nothing
do about
we
it.
can do about it.
it's definitely not me.
Yeah.
From Will Watkins at Dry Your Beers. Sadly, I have done it when steaming, but not for a long time. I put it alongside a host of other idiotic things I did when drunk in my early 20s. It's noticeable that many places on the beer mile have stopped using branded glasses, or such as Brew by Numbers, warn against it.
It's an interesting point. Just stop using branded glassware.
Yeah.
Although I've got to say, I'm quite partial to a non-branded glassware because you can use that with any beer in it. So I don't like taking a picture
With the wrong beer.
with the wrong beer and brand.
Oh, okay.
So I do quite like
So that's why I use my craft beer rising glasses. It's
a
great.
non-branded glass.
Bermondsey Beer Mile, watch out.
I'm coming for a
Season
stock
is
up.
Maybe someone should just set up a little stall either end of the beer mile, and you get your branded glass. Here you go, £2. You go to whatever bar you want.
Maybe someone needs to actually set up a sort of one of these sort of like these plastic cups that's got Bermondsey Beer Mile branding on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could all club together and correct that. The Littlest Homebrew at Littlest Homebrew.
With no E.
With no E, thank you. Oh God, this is going to both age and shame me. Back when almost every pub was a fake Irish bar, I left one of them with a Guinness ashtray stuffed down my trousers. I don't smoke, think that might fit into the drunk category. I love that one.
Just
take it. Just
took
take
an
it.
ashtray just because he liked it.
Just take it.
Must have had baggy trousers.
Yeah.
Everyone did.
We
Everyone
can
did back
picture
then.
the ashtray as well, can't we? It's one
Yeah.
of those big
It's big,
square
yeah.
ceramic
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
The stuff you see at Canberra beer festivals now sold for all the merch from old pubs.
Yeah,
It's on
especially
sale,
at the Great British Beer Festival. They have
Yeah,
a really
yeah,
big section,
yeah.
don't they?
Old
Yeah.
ashtrays.
From Patrick Fox at Foxatronic 82 of Guinness.
Yeah.
Terrible for it in college. Before we moved out, we surreptitiously returned about 25 pint glasses over a 3-week period. Much better as an adult. I'd offer to buy it if one took my fancy.
Well done. You've redeemed us all. You've redeemed us
I
all.
like the returning.
I love the returning, especially because somebody at the bar would have just been gone.
What the?
We haven't had one of these pint glasses in about 3 years. What's
We can't lose it.
And that is very similar to this final one. And this is like an Elves and the Shoemaker. This one. This is from Justin Mason at 1970s Boy, friend of the show, Justin Mason. We once did the sweep of the glasses in a pub garden the day before a friend's birthday party. The morning after we'd used them, we put them all back on those same tables, properly cleaned and shiny. I always wonder what they thought had happened.
Well, if they're listening, maybe they'll let us know.
It's interesting though, isn't it? We've had a real range of views there, and you know, a lot of people openly saying they think it's wrong. People saying that they did it because they were drunk, essentially.
Most people are saying they don't do it now. And
Yes.
that's because I think a lot of people who are involved either in the show or on Twitter engaging are of a similar sort of age and have done their stupid stuff already.
Oh no, I still definitely. I still definitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I will say that I only do it from pubs that clearly have too much money. So
You're fucking Robin Hood.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. 10 bells in Spitalfields, I'm coming for you.
As always, though, we encourage people to carry on feeding back. Use the hashtag Hopinions if you've got any more comments on that, and you may very well feature in the next part of the show.
Let us know, write it down. Let us know, write it down. Let us know your thoughts and bitter and lingerness. Write it down.
Lots of comments this week about
There is a
previous
lot.
shows.
Mark is a popular man.
He is a very popular man.
They love the show, didn't love us, they love Mark.
Yeah, just Mark.
Let's be honest. So this is
It's
basically
like
what
2.5
all the comments
hours.
are
I could listen to Mark for
Yeah.
5 hours.
It's a bit like all the comments after Marvel. Yeah, we love Joe and Jack.
It's never us they love, is it?
No.
Never us. Let's rattle through some of these, and then we'll get some more thoughts on the wild beer. Did we decide it was Huis?
Who's?
It's pronounced we.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently. We.
I'm not ordering we at the bar.
We. You can say we version 2 if you
Oh,
like.
that's better.
Yeah.
More mature type.
Post fermentation. So Cat Seal at Katrina's only halfway through, so not sure if this has been done, but somebody needs to get a bottle of Alvin's Sour de Mortange to Steve and film his face.
That was excellent
Thank you very much. Also, I go to GBBF with work every year on the Thursday. Plenty of international beers around. It's usually all I drink. The American bar is usually done, but last year it got stuck in customs until Thursday. Fingers crossed for a repeat.
She's very right. I was there on the Tuesday, expecting to drink at the American bar, and it was
wasn't
absolutely
there.
empty.
Oh, brilliant.
Absolutely empty.
Richard Taylor at Richard Taylor 1608. Great smoky show with Mark Johnson and sounded like a great selection of beers. I'll look out for a few of those. You should try the Still City Brewery and Burn the Kirsch beers.
There's actually quite a
if you
few
haven't
recommendations started coming through, didn't they?
Yeah, people think I'm a fan of smoked beers now.
That's all they wanted to talk about.
I know. Although saying that, I did enjoy those smoked beers, and I'll reiterate what I said on the last show, that next time the Torside beers come up at Beer Central, I'll certainly be looking out for getting a few in my box.
You're not going to their festival, their smoky beer festival.
That might be a step too far just now, Andrew, I think.
Also, it's apparently they say it's easy to get to, but it's a bit of a walk from the station and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Joshua Howes at Joshua A. Howes. Enjoyed the first half on the way to work, thanks. Loved hearing Mark Johnson's beer background, some parallels of mine growing up in Wigan. Didn't quite get through it all, but I got to my kernel point. Thanks for including me and for all the tips. Definitely up for the India Porter, and beer journey wise, I've been interested in cask and Belgian beers for around 12 years and had dismissed craft as basically overpriced stuff with fancy labels until 6 months or so ago. Turns out I was wrong.
No, he did try the India Porter, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he said he
loved
enjoyed it, didn't he?
So apparently we know what we're talking about.
Or we were just lucky.
Occasionally. Michael at Mick McGrotty, listening to the latest show. Read the Marsden's decision. Scots simply don't drink cask in anywhere near the same volume as the English. One of the pubs is actually right around the corner from where I'm moving to, so I'm a wee bit disappointed with this, but I understand it completely. Maybe that's the reason why Brewdog have already pulled Cask Punk.
What, just the,
It's just gone. Yeah.
or maybe that's why they started doing it, to fill the gap left by Marston's.
Oh,
It's funny
maybe.
though, maybe I just gravitated to English bars in Scotland, but that's all I had in Scotland was good
was
cask.
cask beer?
Yeah, some nice wee heavies on cask.
Yeah,
Anyway.
That would work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would see that. So, Will Watkins at Dry Your Beers. Another joyous Thursday commute. I don't see many smoked beers about, but I'll have to keep an eye out. Now you're broadening your repertoire, I look forward to the coconut and Tonka beer special.
Bring on the coconut
I ain't
tonka
gonna have
bean.
that.
Not happening anytime soon. No.
Cross that one through. At 9 Squirrels Brew, Chris Clough. Enjoyed listening to this while delivering to Staybridge Buffet Bar.
No, I think Chris is brews with Torside. I think he's one of the brewers at Torside.
Oh wow, okay.
So it was nice to know that Chris actually listened to the show that was about his beers.
Yeah, where basically Mark was promoting the whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are a great brewery though. I mean, the barley wines are really good as well.
I've enjoyed a couple of their
The
barley
Mon- the
wines. I
Monster
really
series,
have. Yeah.
American barley wines.
Monsters,
Yeah.
really
Big thumbs
good.
up for those.
Yeah.
Very interesting episodes. I was fully expecting full-on peaty beers and Steve's smoke face, so it was good to learn there is more to the style than expected. And that's from Paul at UNRCD.
Is your smoke face different to your sour face?
It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, but it didn't really happen.
So you've had Yeasty Boys
Xerox.
Hated it. The double.
Absolutely hated it. It was horrific.
But you don't like whiskey either, do you?
Not that sort of whiskey.
Whiskey,
No.
no.
Peaty whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I think Xerox, once you get your first mouthful,
Oh,
it's
nah.
good.
It's such a character. It's gorgeous.
But I think if you don't like the peat,
No,
you're not going to get past that.
And it's that side of smoke I don't like.
it's
but I think
massively bonfire.
the beers that Mark bought for us to sample used smoke in so many different ways,
Yeah.
and that's what really surprised me with it. That's what I wasn't expecting.
Well, he was very conscious, I think, that he wasn't going to come along and go, here's the smokiest beer in
Yeah.
humanity.
I
That's
think-
not the point. It was like,
The last Rauch beer we did on our podcast was Smoked by Weird Beard, which was a good year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I had one bottle left over, and I just cracked it open a couple of weeks ago. And what I discovered is that laying a Rauch beer down for a little bit just mellows it off just a little.
Oh, really?
It was just basically like a really nice bacon IPA. Good.
Nice.
Bacon, okay, there you go, Steve.
Yeah, there's a new style.
All the food groups for you.
We need more bacon IPAs.
Some more pork in our IPA.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
oh, Abbeydale did that.
Yeah.
Abbeydale did that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Pork scratching IPA.
John Rogers at JM Rogers 2000, really good listen this wet June Whit Friday. Cracking illumination of smoked beers chosen by Mark Johnson. Only Mark could take the smoke to London. Sampled most and agree with the comments, especially how good and underrated Runaway are.
So maybe we both agreed on that as well.
Absolutely.
What was
Yeah.
the runaway one you had?
It was a smoked pork, straight up smoked pork.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just really, really good.
Not dissimilar to,
Colonel's one probably.
yeah, or Beta.
Or any London pork.
Yeah. But it was good.
Yeah. Simon Clark at Simon Carbon, great show guys, kept me entertained for over 120 miles of driving yesterday. That's got to be a new record for the longest distance driven
I'm
listening
trying to
a
work out what
podcast.
speed he was doing to do 120
I mean,
miles.
that's just also.
Oh, was he
Yeah.
speeding? I don't think he was.
No,
I don't think he was.
Yeah.
In fact, it was going really slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will realise that not all smoked beers are like snorting ashtray detritus.
So we had to be convinced about that.
Yeah. Miles Lambert, fantastic listen to Mark on the Beer O'Clock Show. Great knowledge and passion for the subject in a very relaxed, warm setting. One of the longest shows you've done, but could listen for many more hours. Well done, folks. Don't tempt us, Miles.
Yeah.
How many minutes did it clock in at?
It was under 2.5 hours.
Just.
Yeah.
Only just.
Just.
Careful what you
Just
wish for.
under 2.5 hours.
Under 2.5 hours, yes.
We can do better.
Another excellent episode, and always nice to get mentioned. You guys are on fire at the moment. Also,
I didn't get the pun until then. I didn't actually get it.
Also, really enjoyed the Marble episode, and Steve has done sours, smoked beers, and Belgium recently. Are there any plans for Martin to do something similar with things he isn't sure about?
What beers do you not like?
Well, the thing is, most of the beers I don't like tend to be ones that Steve don't like either.
It's a
So
catch
Steve would
22, yeah.
pay for it as
There's
well.
none that you don't like that you do like.
I want to just make him drink a whole load of cucumber beers.
Oh.
But
Tzatziki
I
sour.
Tzatziki
but I don't want to drink cucumber beers.
Well, exactly. So we'd have to do completely different beers
Maybe
for
we
the show.
could just do a show where you drink cucumber beers and I drink really good West Coast IPAs.
If you want, we could
Not
just
going to happen in
do.
my house.
We could just do a show where we come in, don't talk, but just provide the beers. I think that's. I think that could work really well because we could pretty much pick beers that we can guarantee you'll both hate.
You could turn up and not talk.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, that's a struggle.
Yeah.
No, you might need to put me in the next one.
Don't see that happening.
From Ian Hay at II Hay, was a great show, perfect listening on the plane. Got some long haul coming up, so keep the shows nice and long. Another person who doesn't know what they're asking for.
If people keep asking for this,
We will deliver.
We will go over 3 hours one day.
I'm
Definitely
just going to
will.
put in a request. I have a flight in December to Australia.
Okay.
That's 24 hours.
Whoa, that's a challenge.
Do you think you can pull it off?
What podcast-a-thon?
Yeah. I mean, it is a 12-hour and a 14-hour. No,
What, do we-
that doesn't add up.
We don't have to cover the layover as well, do we?
No. If you could just do the two separate flights, that'd be good. I reckon that'd be great.
16-hour stopover.
Yeah, you can do a Lord of the Rings movie. One.
Oh God, no. And lastly from this bit, from Dick Withercombe at Ashton 1848. I loved the bit from Mark Johnson on first encounter with a great beer. I sat back and stare a moment. When you sit back and say, whoa, when was that? What am I drinking? Matched in Cider World by Graftwood 1. It's the sip and then the shared look which cannot be described. It's quite poetic.
So we've got a few more to get through, but I'm just conscious that we're almost approaching the end of our glassware.
Oh.
Yeah, our glassware.
A glassware.
Glassware.
It's going in the pocket.
This glassware is approaching the end of its life in its par. No, approaching
Thank you,
the
beer merchants.
the bottom of the glass on the wine forward bit.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on this?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's actually quite a complex beer for
It
a
is.
sub 5%. as
It
well.
does. It does remind me of like the classic Belgian styles. So
Yeah.
like stuff like the Saison de Pont
Yeah.
or American Parfait or
But
something
on
like that.
tap, so you're not
Yeah.
having to buy a bottle.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
that's
That's
a nice
always
idea as well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
here, someone like here, you probably get it on third, 2/3
Yeah,
halves.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you can have your own measure.
Or-
it always looks nice in this.
Or you can even go up and
glass.
taste a bit and go, yeah, that's for me, or it's not for me,
Yeah.
and then get more.
But it is funny. Like this is one that I would 100% want to introduce to my wife because she's a big red wine drinker, and I think that it's got the characteristics.
I think it's got
there.
loads of those
Yeah,
characteristics.
I think it's
in
got.
there.
I think.
Which is funny because it's such a pale beer as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she'll smell it and say it smells like beer, but
Yeah.
that's just standard.
But yeah, I would agree. I would say that there's definitely hints of wine in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also a lot less ABV than having
Yeah.
a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can have it nice and cold and allow it to
Yeah,
end.
nice and refreshing, I thought, as well.
As well. So as much as this is going to kill us,
Oh,
because
no.
he's never going to shut up about it, is
I know,
he?
we're shooting ourselves in the foot here, aren't we?
We're going to have to give him a point
Yeah,
for that,
there you
aren't
go.
we? Which means that
2-1 to Luke.
Luke actually wins on your
I'll get you
early
next
year
month.
predictions.
I'll get you next month.
Are you surprised that I'm right about everything? It's
Well,
see, I'm still waiting. 5 years down the line, you're gonna wake up one day and go, oh shit, Spontan Yuzu is actually great.
No, I mean, that's never going to happen. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot now.
Yep.
A bit of unscripted going on here. It's still 6 months of the year. Any different predictions in terms of what you see coming for the rest of 2019, and to you as well, Martin, all of us. This discussion, where do we think beer is going to go for the remainder of this year?
I am seeing sour IPAs. They are starting to come over. I forget the name of the American brewery that specialises in them, but I had one from North last night, a sour IPA. I think I've had another one. I had another one in Brewdog this afternoon.
Yeah, I had a
in
Buxton
Two
one
Minds.
as well.
That was advertised as sour IPA. So sour IPAs.
I think syrup is. I still think that lactose has not seen its day, but I reckon we'll start seeing it in some really fucking weird styles. I'm really looking forward to some like lactose goza,
Oh, sounds horrendous.
So, yeah.
or salty milky beer.
Well, I will say at this point, it's
Isn't that
unlikely
just
that he'll
jizz?
listen because he doesn't listen to the long shows, and he's certainly not going to get to this point in this
No,
podcast.
and he admitted that the weekend, on
But-
the stag weekend as well.
Our creative director said that his hope for beer trends is that for the rest of the year is for lactose to fuck the fuck off. I think were his exact words.
Yeah, that's verbatim, by the way. I mean, I think for me, what I have said,
Can you set up a fight for us?
kettle sours seem to be just carrying on and on. I think what they do
Yeah, yeah.
work really well as, when they get it right, is a low ABV style.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
Okay.
I want them to go the other end.
Well,
It's,
you want
it's
them to
not.
get
I don't
higher?
want this. This isn't a trend, but I just
An imperial
really,
kettle stout.
I want some more acid jam and some more Uncle Zester, like some big heavyweight sours, because every single time I've had something that's a heavyweight sour, it just like it's instant 5 stars.
You just mean more sour.
What about you, Steve?
What in terms of what's coming for the rest of this year?
Yeah, we sort of merged it between what we'd like to see, what we think we'll see.
I'm going to go out there, and it's based on what I saw at the weekend, and I think we are going to see more of it. I think we're going to see, certainly as we get into the dark months, I think we're going to see the rise of the table stout. I think we're going to start seeing some low ABV stouts, but with bags of flavour.
He's stealing my prediction.
I'm not stealing your prediction at all.
No, I'm very much of the same. I'd love to see that as well, because it was something that I mentioned with the small beers and low ABV beers that I do. It wasn't a prediction, you're right, because I didn't think anyone would do it. But I'd fucking love to see some great 3% stouts.
Yeah.
No, I think it's saying around. I mean, and the stout would lend itself as well. Whether you can build up that
again, if you can get that body,
as long as you
body,
don't just pack it with coffee, which is what everyone seems to do now.
Or lactose.
Yeah, well, you know, a bit more lactose would do that.
Talking of which, you guys have just presented us with a stout
Let's see what this is like.
to finish the evening with, and quite aptly, this is from Liverpool,
I'm going down to Liverpool.
from a brewery that no longer exists.
Yeah, so this is yours, Andrew. This is the Feed Your Head Impy Stout. So
Yeah, read it out.
massive. So it's, we have made you a beast of a beer with Wylam, a 10% imperial stout that will feed your imagination and delight your taste buds. Delight your taste buds. Remember what the Dormouse said. What did the Dormouse say? Feed your head. I don't know. But yeah, this is.
So it's got to be an Alice
I don't
in
know, it's
Wonderland
got-
reference.
Yeah. Got malt, oats, vanilla, orange peel, hops. Let's
There's
give it
more
a
than
crack.
that, isn't it? There's more than that.
That's
An
it.
interesting
No.
addition of orange peel.
Yeah.
Well, let's
So-
see.
You see,
Bit of orange
chocolate
peel.
orange.
Let's give it a go.
This could have gone horribly wrong.
So this is
wanna
a
put them in
big 10% fresh
So
glass.
we're talking chocolate orange, are we? So
No,
Men
I don't
behaving
think
badly.
so.
Let's see if
therefore
there's any orange
we
here.
have to make the normal reference to men behaving badly at that point.
Because it's chocolate orange.
I don't think just the orange peel. The orange peel is going to be pithy bitterness more than orange.
Although saying that, in their last podcast, every beer tasted like orange.
I think they'd put the thought into their head, hadn't they?
And then they couldn't move away from it. Then
I'm not getting much on the flame.
So thank you for sharing this. With
Yeah,
us,
because
Andrew.
this must be one of the last
can have it.
cans hanging
I'm
around.
assuming it is.
There we go.
It's got more than that in. What else it's got? I'm sure red. It's got other stuff in.
No, I literally read the can, Andrew. It's
Okay.
Anyway,
settle
cheers.
down.
Cheers.
Vanilla.
Cheers, one and all.
It's nice, but I'm not sure.
On the nose, there's not a lot going
Not
on.
a lot going on.
No.
On the flavour, there's all sorts going on in that.
It's really deep, isn't it? Like
I'm
it's,
getting a little bit of toffee in there, hints of chocolate.
Getting the
It's
dry
got-
pickiness that Andrew alluded to might be there,
Yeah.
but not getting too much of the orange.
I'm not getting much of the vanilla or the oats in there either. It's like
Well, the oats are probably just for the body, aren't
well,
Yeah.
exactly, but it's not a particularly
Not gonna
thick.
taste
That's more
oats
booze
necessarily,
than.
yeah.
Do you think that
Yeah.
tastes boozier than the brown ale we had earlier, the James Brown ale? I think this
No.
actually doesn't feel quite as boozy.
No, not,
It's
not all.
hitting the chest afterwards.
Oh, is it? You're getting that burn, a little bit of a burn afterwards.
Oh, I'm getting no burn on that.
No, I'm not. I felt I was getting more from the bourbon, but
It's quite roasty.
It is quite coffee.
Just while we enjoy this then, just finishing up on this section. So for those people that are fairly active on Twitter, which I think is most of our listeners, that they'll know that on a Monday, Doreen does a Let's Be a Positive thing,
It's great, isn't
which is always a different subject, encouraging people to share their positive views on things. And she did one a couple of weeks ago that was about community builders in beer Twitter, and gratefully a few people said us. I just want to say thanks to those people and just mention what they said. So Hopzine, Robert Hopzine said, we've built a truly nice community. Both James at Gammon Baron and Paul at UNRCD said for the Crimbo Crawl, and James also went on to mention and the podcast sideline that we do. And then the Owl Lady at the Owl Lady said for their unwavering determination to engage with all sides of all beery debates, yet remain inclusive. So thank you to people
Yeah,
that,
thank you very
that
much.
mentioned us. That was always humbling when people, thank you for your hobby.
Yes.
Basically. So yeah.
You're not getting paid for this yet.
No, we don't ever intend to.
no. Definitely not.
Don't-
Keeps it independent, right?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Cheers to you for doing this. It's very good.
Thank you,
Honestly.
and thank you guys for joining us
Again.
this evening, which is a nice segue into giving you guys a bit of a promo opportunity in terms of what do you do, where do we find you, and what's coming up, because we know there's an event coming up.
We do.
That you're doing.
So if anybody shut up. If anybody wants to find us, then we're rhythmbrews.co is the web address, or Rhythm Brews UK on any of the social medias.
All linked to in the show notes.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, we're Rhythm and Brews on any of your podcast apps, and basically we try and be knowledgeable about both beer and music and pair them and I do an
An
amazing job.
awesome job every month.
I do a fantastic job. Thanks, Andrew. I do a fantastic job every month.
I'm riding on the cocktails, man.
But I have to bring Andrew along anyway.
Yeah.
For the good music.
For the
Good
The
music.
music which we don't fast forward.
for the Ed Sheeran and the Bon Jovi.
Yeah,
So-
that's it.
And the meatloaf. Sorry, of course the meatloaf.
The meatloaf was the highlight.
But of course, so we've got so we put a podcast out on the 20th of each month, but next month we've got a special one on the 24th of July. We're doing a live podcast down at Signature Brew Tap Room in Haggerston. It's a free event. I was actually just chatting with them this morning, so we're going to do a special thing where if you pay a small amount, then you'll get pours of all the beers as we go along, so you can drink along. Which will be fun.
What date is that? Did you
So it's
say?
the
24th, Wednesday,
24th of
24th.
July.
Starts at 7?
Starts at 7. If you look us up on Facebook, all the
There's
details
an
are-
event page
Yeah,
on
there's an
Facebook. Yeah,
event
again,
page
we'll
on Facebook.
link that through in show notes. so
Yeah, and
if people
hopefully
are
we'll be
interested.
able to announce the guest soon if we can get
Get
off
one.
our asses and sort it. So, but no, we've got that's going to be pretty exciting.
It
We're
will be,
hoping
because it's
that-
like living on the edge.
it's crazy.
It's like, drink a beer, here's a song, did it work?
I'm
Everyone
actually
shouts no.
I'm considering making Andrew do it live as well, like just his pairing, because he needs at least 6 days to prepare. It's like it's in his contract. But I'm willing to just pour some Fosters in a can into a glass and see if he can just pair it with
Of course I can.
something.
Man down under.
It'd be great.
But that's almost what I was going to go for. Yeah. I think all of our listeners at the same time will all go on men down.
Easy,
for that.
done.
Whatever.
Anyway, so that's, come along, Signature's Tap Room. It's a great tap room. They've got loads of signature beers, loads of other guest beers.
Sam will be down there as well, so you can have a chat to him.
He's a great guy.
One of the fans.
I'm planning to come along, so I'm really looking forward to it. Actually,
Yes.
So,
That'll be good. Are you going to heckle live?
No, only when you choose shit music.
I'll make sure what we'll do is we'll just have a special microphone set up next to your seat.
I'm just literally going to stand about and just shout out meatloaf all night long. But no, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing the beers, Andrew, because I know some of these have
Yeah,
come from your,
thank you very much.
your personal stash. So to speak. So we're going to finish off our
We are.
Imperial Stout.
Yep.
What's coming up next time?
Before we get to that, can I just say shout out to Rich from the Vic, please?
Yeah.
He was down here at Beer Merchants a couple of weeks ago for the Cave Direct 40th birthday celebrations with a couple of people from Colchester. So Alex, who also works at the Vic, Dave from Two Brews, who made a point of telling me that he very rarely agrees with anything we say as well. So hello Dave, and also their mate Phil. I've got no idea what he does, but he was there and he was a nice chap.
Very
So
good.
hello guys.
Lovely.
Very good.
I was at the Vic recently, but I might save that for the next show.
Okay.
In terms of beer adventures, went to a comedy night and it was great. That's
Brilliant.
what I'm going to
Look
say.
forward to
So.
hearing about it.
Spoilers.
But it was a great concept as well. It was literally, there was no entrance fee. It was pay what you think it's worth.
That's great.
So
Yeah,
clearly,
yeah.
I didn't pay anything.
Took a glass on the way out.
And then took a glass from me. Started helping myself to the fridge as well. But no, I'll talk about that on the next show.
Okay, brilliant.
Actually, 'cause it
Well,
was
the
good
next one's a studio show, but other than that, I don't know what we're doing. We're
Well,
actually back,
I've-
back at Dave's breakfast bar.
To be fair, I don't know what we're doing either. I know what beers we're doing. We're going to do the beers that
Will sent to us.
Will sent to us, which are a range of some really high ABV
ABV.
beers. There's
Oh, the hardship.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
dear.
There's 5 or 6 of them, so that could be fun by the end of it.
Yeah.
One of them's 18%.
18%.
What else
Yeah.
would you do on
And
a
it's
Monday
not
night?
Brewdog.
No, it's Dogfish Head.
Oh, okay,
fair
okay,
play,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair to
Jesus
Will,
Christ.
he's chosen beers that, as far as I'm aware, neither of us have had.
No, he's actually taken the time to go through both our Untapped to make sure we haven't had
Hey,
them.
that's getting on borderline
That is-
stalkerish. That's
It's pretty impressive.
The lengths that people go to for the title of number 1 fan. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
Rob made a good play for it at Liverpool at the weekend.
He did. There are so many contenders right now.
But we are only halfway through the year.
We are only
It's
halfway
okay.
through.
We've
the-
stolen Paul, so it's fine.
Just have him. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's been great
tonight.
fun.
I've really enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed exploring these beers with you and chatting about the trends. And I very much look forward to maybe doing this again.
awesome.
At
That's
some point in the
Let's
future.
book it in for next year.
Excellent. Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Cheers. Thanks for having us.
I've been caught stealing once